Hello and welcome to Break the Fake. My name is Daria Stremska and I'll be your host today. Once again, sharing his thoughts on Russia's full-scale war in Ukraine, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban said on Friday that the conflict can only be ended by, quote, a truce, rather than some nebulous peace plans. According to the Hungarian Prime Minister, the war in Ukraine won't be stopped by having a, quote, peace plan and waiting for something to happen. No, he believes that there first must be a speedy, immediate and unconditional ceasefire. Here's a quote. The first mistake of Europe, Orban said, was to globalize this war. The only country that said on the day the war broke out that it should remain local was Hungary. The strategy of the West is that Ukrainians fight and die, and we give them money, information and weapons. Earlier, Viktor Orban has been calling for a diplomatic resolution to the war in Ukraine. He said that the West would fight to the last Ukrainian instead of engaging Russia in negotiations. At this point, it's hard to understand how the Hungarian Prime Minister is still missing the point. How even with over 18 months of Russia raising hell in Ukraine, Orban is having trouble deciding who's on the right side of history here. Or maybe his relationship with Vladimir Putin is simply more important than any considerations. The plane will fall apart, said Prigozhin in one of the last videos before his death. Isn't it ironic? This was him speaking about the forthcoming disaster on the Ukrainian front, rather than his personal demise.
Лучше убейте меня. Но я не буду обманывать, я должен честно сказать, Россия стоит на грани катастрофы. Если сегодня не отрегулировать эти винтики, то самолет рассыпется в воздухе.
Prigozhin long believed himself untouchable. After all, he was one of the wise guys hailing from the good old days of the 1990s from St. Petersburg's mob. Back then, the place looked like Chicago during Prohibition. Back then, the life expectancy of an average Russian was not exactly high, but Prigozhin managed to survive and even resurfaced as a star of business and politics. The plane crash that most likely killed Prigozhin has probably also killed one of the greatest examples of Russian hypocrisy, Dmitry Utkin. Also known by his call sign, Wagner, Utkin was covered in neo-Nazi tattoos and was widely known as a Hitler enthusiast. The fact apparently did not prevent anyone at the Kremlin from entrusting him with leading a considerable part of the effort that Moscow called, quote, the Nazification of Ukraine. With their leaders dead, the Wagner Group finds itself in disarray. The group's rank and file don't know what they're in for, and they're starting to make some pretty desperate moves themselves. In a recent video, several Wagner members suggest that it was the United States that actually killed their two leaders.
Нас пытаются поссорить те, кому это выгодно. Ребят, давайте думать. Самое главное, чтобы вы не сделали, не пытайтесь устроить кипиш внутри. Они этого и ждут. Они ждут слабую Россию. Мальчики и девочки, давайте так. Мы не должны воевать сейчас внутри. Беда будет. Папа был... Ну, папа это папа. Они попытались, они сделали, а нам сейчас нужно сделать так, чтобы у них ни хрена не получилось. Чтобы звездно-полосатый матрас не получил то, что они сейчас хотели сделать вот этим движением. А Вагнер, как всегда был, так и будет. Мы сделаем красиво дальше в любом случае.
These videos are most likely an effort to protect their own necks, because if it's this easy for the Kremlin to take out major players like Prigozhin and Utkin, then what chance does the average Vanya from the Wagner stand? They're probably shuddering at the sheer thought of downing another glass of tea. The Kremlin, after all, is widely known for lacing drinks with not exactly healthy ingredients. And since we're on the subject of laced drinks, it might just be that the infamous General Surovikin has been given one. He's not been seen for weeks. Even his dismissal from the post of commanding officer of the Russian aerospace forces has taken place without the general in attendance. All of this makes the recent suggestions aired by our red-nosed friend and notorious Kremlin mouthpiece all the more puzzling.
Я скажу даже больше, да? Для полноты картины, вот эти типун мне на язык, да, не хватало еще, чтобы Суровикин от инфаркта умер. И я не шучу в данном случае, надо быть очень внимательным. Сейчас надо быть очень внимательным, они будут это делать. Они будут стараться для того, чтобы у них все пазлы сложились, не хватало еще, понимаете, вот для, так сказать, и за этим надо очень внимательно, так сказать, смотреть и нашим службам, потому что их задача одна.
Maybe it's all a part of a broader effort to purge all memory of Surovikin from the public mind, just like there is an effort to undermine the public image of the Wagner Group as invincible warriors. Like ancient rulers, eager to efface the names of their predecessors from memorials and monuments, Putin is working hard to make the Russian public forget about the Wagner Group.
Вот этот обелиск открывал Евгений Викторович Пригожин в Николаевке. А вот здесь, вот, где вот эта дорожка, там были могилы, это все снесено. Вы что творите-то, ребят? Да это же кощунство, блин, это вы что, люди гибли за Россию, вы их тут с землей сравняли, все могилы, блин. Вы что творите-то, вообще что ли, блядь, ни бога, ничего не боитесь, блядь? Вот здесь вот все кресты ребят, которые погибли. Вот, 23-й год, обратите внимание. Вот. Ребята, вот 23-й год. Вот все здесь вот сложено, венки вагнеровские, все в кучу свалили. Вот. А вот здесь вот, где они работают, вот где вот раскатан, вот здесь вот были сами могилы вагнеровцев. Вот они были вдоль. Николаевское кладбище. Здесь непонятно, что происходит. Все венки, кресты взяли, собрали. Здесь непонятно, что делают. Вот здесь были могилы, вот здесь сейчас вот щебень лежит. Вот здесь лежали могилы, потому что вот там Пригожин открывал обелиск.
And now on a more serious note, hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian children abducted from lands forcibly annexed by Russia, intense political indoctrination and no legal protections for Ukraine's youngest. This is the everyday reality of Moscow's occupation of Ukraine. Footage captured by a Ukrainian drone has surfaced recently, showing a particularly harrowing scene. A band of Russian soldiers were driving with a child in the car. When the vehicle broke down, they flagged and commandeered another, but left the child stranded on the side of the road. Unfortunately, the fate of the stranded child remains unknown. The drone feed cut out not long afterward.
Yeah.
The Russian authorities are not keeping any sort of record of the children they're abducting from Ukraine. Which means that probably
I'm too
neither
low.
Kyiv
Shit.
nor international organizations have a precise idea about the number of
Oh,
children
I was
affected
here
by
a bit
the
earlier
policy.
and I wanted
The
to
video
jump in,
suggests
and then I
that
saw the
it's
video
a
was going and I was
widespread
like,
practice.
I'm not gonna distract you.
And with this we conclude
fucking
this episode
Russian.
of Break the
It's
Fake.
doing
Please stay tuned
more
for more
wild
of
shit.
the latest news and features here
Hey
on
yo,
TVP World.
hey yo, how's life? I had a long ass day at work today. long ass fucking day, my dude. And then we're also preparing for some job, like privately, like family stuff. It's been busy. It's been very, very, very busy. So I hope life's good. I hope you get some rest. I've got a free day tomorrow. So the plan is to finish everything around the house before the noon, and also to buy some Heineken to celebrate the fact Heineken got out of the Russian market. So be hyped for that shit. Hey, hey, hey. Cold beer would have tasted better in 30 plus. To be fair, cold beer tastes good at all times, doesn't it? Cold beer just tastes good. There is a part of me. There is a part of me which is like, if I was left to my own devices, how long until I turn into an alcoholic? You know, there's a part of me which is like scared of the possibility of just getting so depresso espresso. I would just be on beer the whole time. And yeah, I don't even know what to tell you about that. It's very good for me that I'm having a schedule of work and then stream and then work around the house and then sleep. Very, very good. When I've got free time, I'm surrounded by people. Very, very good. If you ask whether you're an alcoholic, you might be one. I don't, to be fair, I don't drink a lot. I'm more so wondering, like, in the future. Not even in the future, even now, like, is there a possibility? Because I feel myself, it's a weird thing to say. I feel myself as like an inherently sad person. I'm just sad about everything, my dude. I'm just fucking sad, okay? I've been having death anxiety a bit more often recently. I think it just pops up sometimes when I don't sleep enough. It feels sad sometimes. And then I do wonder, you know, I look at family members who are alcoholics and it feels like they were born with the same type of like fucked up view of the world where you're just sad. And then you're like, if I didn't have, you know, the control that I've got over my private life and then, you know, what's happening personally and stuff like that, if I didn't have all of that, like if I was born 30 years ago and I didn't have the internet and I wasn't able to do so much introspection of what I think and stuff like that, would I also be a beer drinker? I don't know. I don't know. The beers, but I think it's about how much you desire being drunk. In a way, I think it's a bit more about that. Does that make sense? How much you want to be out of it? Because I know people that I would classify as alcoholics, and they don't really drink a lot. It's just that sometimes they do drink a lot, but on most days they just have to drink. You know, they have to like lightly be out of it. Like I know people who will casually in the morning wake up and they drink a shot of brandy. It doesn't get you drunk, you know? It just, especially if you don't, you know, eat properly and if you drink really, really strong shit alcohol, it hits you kinda. So you're kinda feeling it. If you desire it, I think that's what makes you an alcoholic, you know? Not necessarily the amount itself, but like, can you function without beer, you know? When the pandemics, for example, was happening, when COVID was around and the shops were closed and you couldn't go to the store to buy beer, did you panic? Did you panic? Did you have problems with family and people in your house because of this? Did you have issues because you couldn't get your fill? I think it's more about that. At least that's how I'm seeing it. You might end up with just another problem. Yeah, no, it is. Definitely. It would even be a bigger problem because I didn't know a single alcoholic in my family who actually functions. I know there was a defense during the pandemics, that's why I thought of it. Lots of people were like, oh, now the alcoholics are unable to get their alcohol, and there's a lot of high-functioning alcoholics existing, so maybe not being able to get their share of alcohol just makes them perform less successfully in their day-to-day life because like they're used to having their fill or whatever. I don't know if you remember that. There was like a strong Twitter care for a while. Like, oh, how are the alcoholics gonna get their alcohol? Who the fuck cares about them? But I don't know a single one of them who functions properly. Every single one I know has destroyed their family and their life. I don't know a single good story of an alcoholic. I do know good stories of people who were dragged out of it, literally dragged by someone else. Not a single person that I know who was an alcoholic and then dragged themselves out. So I definitely like consciously I would never slip into it. Never. Consciously, no. I don't really think people do it consciously, you know? For the fact that it creates another problem in your life, I think what you need is conscious understanding of what you are signing up for when you become an alcoholic. Does that make sense? It's like imagine you have to sign a contract, right, to become an alcoholic. I feel if you had to sign a contract to become addicted to something, then the argument like that would make sense, because you would be like, hey, are you aware that signing this is going to destroy your life? And then you would be like, oh shit, no, maybe I don't want to sign it at all. But when it comes to addictions, I think the fall to it is a bit more soft, a bit more like, that's why I'm trying to control it a bit more. You don't see it, you don't know you're an alcoholic until you are, right? Like I know people, for example, who started drinking because they had nightmares after the war. So it was like, oh, I'm only drinking sometimes just to not have a nightmare this night, because like this night I'm feeling very, very bad and I feel like something will happen, right? So this night you drink because this night you feel anxious, you feel a bit, you know, edged out, you feel like something's going to happen. And then, you know, you're like, I don't feel as anxious today, but I felt safe last night when I got drunk, and I knew that I would just like pass out on the bed and I wouldn't have a nightmare, right? So I might as well like drink a little bit this night just to feel safer, you know? And then it kind of just piles up and up and up and up and up, and then, you know, after a while you're just kind of fucked. It's like with social drinking. I think a lot of people do it with social drinking too, right? It's like, oh, I'm only drinking with friends. I'm only drinking when I go out with friends. And then you go out with friends one time and no one's drinking, and you're like, guys, why don't we drink? I'm not really having fun if we're not drinking. I'm not really enjoying this outing if we're not drunk. You know? And then it just kind of seeps in through more and more and more. And I don't think there's a line where you go, if I have this beer, I'm going to create another problem in my life. And I don't really think it happens. So yeah, be careful is what I'm trying to say. I was having a midlife crisis. Wasn't an alcoholic yet during COVID years. Oh shit. I usually drink whiskey in the morning. Is that okay? I think it depends on whether you need it. Like, do you need it? If one morning, I don't know, you stay in bed longer, and you don't get to drink your whiskey, are you going to be angry? Are you going to be grumpy because you're not like a little bit or are you just going to be like, yeah, okay? And it starts to become a problem, interfering to the rest of your life. If you sip all day and still can do other things, and I don't know. Yeah, I think your ability to do other things will be impacted regardless. I think like your ability to do other things has to be impacted. It kind of reminds me, I don't want to share relative stories too much, but kind of reminds me of some of my relatives. Because I've got relatives who are like on a, let's say they're like functioning alcoholics. Some of them used to be and then luckily got out. Most of the functioning ones that I have known are not alcoholics anymore because their families bullied them out of it basically. But like you could see the difference before alcohol and after alcohol. You could see the difference, and I think a big part, especially in younger people, is how able they are to do something with their life. Like if you become an alcoholic later, I know a lot of people in their older age who became an alcoholic, and it was mostly because they fought in the military, and then after fighting in the military, they came back to the village to what's the word? To bring it back to life, basically. And then as part of this, they needed to get like basic ass boring jobs, right? So job is boring, you don't like what you're doing, and it gives you a lot of time to think. And thinking is not fucking good. Thinking is horrible, right? So they had a lot of time to think, and then thinking a lot made them use more alcohol, but they were already in a job. You know, they already had a life situation formed. So I feel like they can just keep on floating. Does that make sense? They can kind of keep on floating. Like, okay, I've reached this position in my life. I have a family. I have a job. The job is relatively easy. I can keep on functioning well enough at this job. I'm not going to be as good as I could have been, but I'm going to keep on functioning, right? In younger people, I think it makes a lot more of a difference because it actually impacts your will and ability to reach the stage where you have a job in the first place. Like when I think of younger alcoholics, I think I don't know a single one who managed to hold a job for a long time. I know of a very sad story of one though who had a very successful job and then lost it because of alcohol. A very successful job. I was admiring that man so much, my dude. It's one of those situations where like you're in a village and there's someone who leaves the village and you're like, wow, this person's actually going to be much more successful than any single one of us, right? And then they just kind of, you know, come back and return to it, and yeah, that's it. So, I don't know. A few executives who I work who drank all the time. To be fair, I know a few executives who work useless jobs, so maybe they're one of those floating people. Oh, I can't talk badly about my boss. I have a job, okay? But let's say that there are executives who delegate their tasks rather successfully, and I feel they can be alcoholics because they don't do shit regardless. You're like, oh, I'm tipsy. Oh, there's this paperwork that I need to do as an executive, and I'm feeling tipsy. How do I function now? I just give it to someone below me. That's what I do all the time anyways. So, I'm a hater of people in high positions. Man, I know so many fucking useless people. Holy shit. Oh wait, I need to turn on my bot. My bot being one of those useless people. Even boring job pays enough to drink alcohol. It actually pays, it pays the perfect amount to drink alcohol. Because think about it. Like people with low paying jobs, okay? What is there to be enjoying for the same amount of money? You know what I mean? It sounds like a push towards alcoholism. But listen, like for example, yesterday I was looking into online classes. Hey, by the way, I have to share, I took an online class. I started an online course, but it's one of those that like got ended, so you can't get a certificate for it. I applied for a certificate one, but I have to wait for it to start on 25th of September. Here it is. I want to go to this one, and I actually have, I want to get a certificate for this one, September 25th. But I actually started this one just because it's like archived, and you can't pass this one at all because it ended. But I started it, and it's on memes and stuff, and it's really, really cool. But listen, the way this is related to the current conversation, okay? By the way, let me see the city. Is that rain? Nah, it's not rain. The way this is related to the current conversation, right? I was looking into the courses and into how much they cost. And then I was looking into specific like musical instruments that I wanted to buy. And the thing is that like with a very low paycheck, it's very hard for you to buy any of these things, for you to have a proper hobby, without in a way making your living situation shit. So either have to take away from your bills, or you have to be taken away from your gas money, or depending on what you need in your day-to-day life. You have to take away from something. Like the cheapest hobby you could have is probably drinking. Beer is cheap as shit. Okay, beer is cheap as shit. You could drink 2 beers per day for a very, very low amount of money. Way lower than what you need for like one online course. Unless you want to take like the free ones with a certificate, but I need a certificate to keep myself going, okay? But it's way cheaper. It's hard to find hobbies that are like as lazy people friendly as drinking is. So I think that's also a problem with like low paying jobs. If you have a high paying job, you can afford to have a more expensive hobby while existing, right? You can afford to pay your bills and to pay your gas, and also to, I don't know, buy a new book every once in a while. You can afford to do that shit. When you have a low paying job, you have to think about every single mile that you're driving, every single penny that you're gonna spend on your bills, and then the leftover amount at the end of the month. It's not really enough for a lot of things to do in free time. True executives probably drink because they're bored with playing so much golf during workouts. A dream job, a dream job. Sup, Mayor, by the way, how's life? How can you tolerate coworkers if you're sober? That's true. That's true. Oh, one young woman had booze problem. Breathalyzer test showed a very big surprising number. Haha. She kinda could almost do her job of making boxes, although she kinda wrapped herself in tape. So got stuck. See, she was okay while she was floating around. And then it requires cognitive ability, and then you're like, this is tough. I have to show you my meme course, by the way. I finished day 1. I'm on day 2 today. Hey, I saw this! Bro, a new deposit of 1 billion cubic meters of gas was discovered in Ukraine. 1 billion. 1 fucking billion. My man. I saw there was a comment somewhere here. Where did I see a comment? It got me angry. And suddenly, USA and Germany pick suddenly interest in supporting Ukraine 100%. One of these. There was one of them, but I don't know which one it was. About like how they will go at this, and they will now turn to be supporting Ukrainians more. And I was like, upgraded my Mac for stream, and chat thought I was getting ready to leave them for another chat. No. Hey, which microphone did you buy? Wait, which one did you get? Yours was already good. You got a fancier one? You got a better one? My man, one of those very, very fancy ASMR ones. Are you gonna do ASMR? You're gonna do the man, I don't even know, okay? When I looked into the news on this, I found only and solely the same Twitter source I got right now. And then I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna wait for someone to point this out on the stream, and I'm gonna ask them where it is. But now I guess no one's really telling me where it is, so I have to look it up myself. Handle thing that clips on the desk. And pop filter. Oh, nice! Ah, nice fancy new setup. Oh, wait, what's pop filter? Is it the round one? I have the round one, if it's the round one. I have the one that goes. If not Russian invasion of Crimea, we would have had a contract with Shell over Crimean gas. Okay, wait, this was cited. This was cited. This was cited. This was cited. Nafogas. Nafogas. Nafogas group around. Oh, they're not saying where it is. They're not saying where it is. Why can I not know where it is? Is there a reason why I can't know where it is? Why are you not letting me into the information about the dish? Damn. Bro, I'm seeing nothing. I'm seeing absolutely nothing. Why? Why? Wait, which link did I miss? Defense company chief was selling electronic components for Russian drones based. Arrest all of them. Wasn't there that kid? What was that kid? That kid directly involved with components getting to Russia. Arrest all of them. I wonder who the defense company chief is, but arrest all of them. Arrest every single one. Put them all in jail. Let them all rot away. Why arrested, not shot on sight? To be fair, Ukraine also arrest them. So, it's you gotta allow officially rip bozo. You gotta allow people to have a free and fair trial, so you know, the rest of the world doesn't go, hey, do. We now have a right to go and invade Ukraine and ethnically cleanse their areas. Russian Ministry of Defense has the chance to do the funniest thing ever. Just like go straight over it. Man. Come on, Prigozhin, time to go. Was he a good leader? No. Welcome to hell. His last few seconds of life, probably. Rip bozo. Intended for certain audiences?
Alright, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome abroad to Burger Air's Flight 404, your one-way ticket to Flavortown in the skies. We're sizzling with excitement to have you on board our juicy journey today. Before we take off, let's grill up some important details for your comfort and safety. In the event of turbulence, please ensure your seatbelt is securely fastened. Our crews will be around to serve you delicious offerings, but please remain seated when the fasten seatbelt sign is on.
Hey.
Have I practiced this before? No.
You did, didn't you? Nice though, nice. Ukraine's hearing yourself. I'm sorry. It's a good clip though, it's good. The mic sounds really, really good. No. Sounds or nothing. That was really, really good. Also, why the Trump plane? Oh, you were watching old videos. I guess. I was like, where's Trump going? To jail? Trump being like, here's how I go to my prison cell. I bring a private plane with me. This dude. Why don't pro-Kremlin actors ever post photos, videos of anti-war protests from Russia? Because there are none. This dude though. What? Oh, I was like, what is she saying? Is she based but not knowing who she's talking to? No, she's just full of shit. Her comment is basically, you can't bully retarded people in your society because bullying them creates conflict inside society, and then we are weaker and we should be stronger as a community, and therefore you should accept the idiot parts of yourself. That's what she is saying. Just stupid. But yeah, this is what I was looking for. Max found the book because I saw someone recognized the dude, and apparently he's just a fucking idiot. So I guess that's how, when you say, tell me how the bitch on the picture is tired of the war, that's how he's kind of stupid. Not this one. Not this one. 1946? No. No. Instagram? Too many people. Too many people. 2 of them. That's way too many. Just... Man, this fucking language is beautiful, isn't it? 5 months on appeal for threatening Calg with a torch. He's been sentenced on appeal to 5 months in prison for threatening D66 leader, who the fuck that is, with a burning torch. He went to Calg's house on January 5th and shouted slogans, filmed by a co-defendant. Why? Why? Another threat against a former top civil servant? Why? Just why? You're watching chats. Oh, USA. What's your opinion on USA? I wanna hear about the one, but I can't remember his name. What's his name? Vivek? What's Vivek's chance to become the president? He kind of dumb. He's kind of dumb. So a part of me is like, no chance he wins. But another part of me is like, remember when we said the same about Trump? Because I do. I fucking do. Oh, talking about anarchists. I have found my newfound hatred for anarchists recently. I do see Crimea, Georgia, and there are all the names. Oh, no Russia on a map? Nice, we can go now and burn them down. We can go and burn them down. There's no Russia on the map, guys. You heard it here first. You heard it here first. Oh, Albania? Oh, Iliri. Yeah, true. Probably hoping Trump picks him as VP, then he has a heart attack after a bucket of KFC. Vivek operating on that Slavic woman seeking a German husband mindset. That's fair. I can see where they're coming from with that. Oh shit, no, Croatian?
Привіт, мене звати Анна, я українка, моя рідна мова українська, але я виросла в родині експатів в Киргизстані. Окрім української мови, я розмовляю ще російською, польською і
Fuck are expats, by the way. Ain't that just the same shit as being an immigrant?
англійською. Зараз я навчаюся в Польщі і вивчаю історію мистецтва.
Hej, jestem Julka, z wykształcenia jestem filolożką koreańską, mówię też po angielsku i norwesku. Ale
Oh,
z
that
polskim
was
nie miałam
hard
nigdy
to
za bardzo do
understand.
czynienia, Także zobaczymy, jak mi dzisiaj pójdzie.
Здравейте, казвам се Диана и съм от България. Живея в чужбина от около 8 години и наскоро завърших магистратура в архитектура. Тъй, че любимият ми език е немски и
German.
съм учила езиците, на които
Who
днес
likes German? Not even Germans like German.
но съм слушала често сръбска музика.
Okay, that makes sense. German though?
Okay.
Who likes German?
Od čega se sastoji ovaj izazov? Uskoro ću vam pružiti niz uputa vezanih uz određenu riječ. Vaš zadatak je pogoditi na koju se riječ ove upute odnose. Tijekom igre možete postavljati pitanja i tražiti daljnja objašnjenja. Pa krenimo. Prva riječ, što je to? Ovo je nešto što možete pronaći u mnogim domovima.
Okay, that's how they do it, like association.
Može biti dovoljno malo da stane na policu ili dovoljno veliko da ispuni pozornicu. Neodvojivi je dio svake opreme za reprodukciju glazbe ili bilo kojeg zvuka. Bez ovoga ne bi bilo moguće slušati bilo kakve snimke. Može biti povezano s kablom ili bežično. Često se koristi u kombinaciji s mikrofonom ili se povezuje na računalo ili kućno kino. i ako je previše glasno, potencijalno može smetati susjedima. Możecie pytać pytanie.
To jest jakaś maszyna? Coś związanego z technologią?
To je, ima tehnologiju u sebi, tako je mašina, recimo. Ima nekih još pitanja?
Я маю. Чи це щось, що ми стосуємо для контактів з іншими людьми?
Nisam točno razumio pitanje, možeš ponoviti?
Ми контактуємось за допомогою цього з іншими людьми.
Ne koristi se za nikakvu vrstu kontaktiranja, ne.
He got a part.
Дякую.
He got a
To
part.
służy do słuchania muzyki?
Služi za reprodukciju muzike, za reprodukciju glazbe.
A każdy człowiek to zna? Ma w domu? Każdy ma to w domu?
Da, ljudi to imaju doma, ali može biti i
When they're trying so hard.
recimo koncertima.
Czy używamy tego w tej chwili? W tym momencie? Mamy to przy sobie? Każdy z nas?
Nisam razumio pitanje, možeš ponoviti?
She almost got it.
Czy teraz
With the moment.
mam to w domu? Ja, jak widzisz.
Ti vjerojatno imaš to doma, da, ako sam dobro razumio. Ok, možemo napisati na papir.
Diana, masz pomysł?
No, imam ideja, da.
Aha, dobra.
Možemo krenuti
It
s
weirds me
Dianom.
out because like the last girl.
Мисля, че думата е тон колона. Разбрах, че всеки...
Because like the last girl, she looks really, really familiar. She looks like someone I know, so I keep on looking at her to figure out, but I don't know a single Bulgarian.
Че се използва за възпроизвеждане на музика. Тоест, предполагам, че слушаме музика с това устройство и също така може да пречим на съседите, ако слушаме твърде силна музика, пример. Мисля, че това разбрах.
Ok, može iduća, Julka.
Nie jestem pewna. Chyba mikrofon, bo służy do nagrania muzyki.
No, I'm actually wondering.
Używamy tego teraz, więc może mikrofon.
Ok,
Я?
Ні.
Я думаю, що це музична колонка. Це такий пристрій, щоб відтворювати музику. Наприклад,
Yeah, it's gonna be
підключити
like
його
звучник,
до
isn't
комп'ютеру
it?
чи до телевізору. І голосно відтворювати музику.
Hey, who called
ok.
me stupid? How
Mislim
dare
da
you?
ste svi blizu. Radi se o, na hrvatskom, zvučniku, or
See?
speaker in English.
I guessed it. I said zvučnik,
Tako da
that's what it
možete
is.
reći tko od vas je točno, ako je itko točno.
He's like, this is the Croatian word for it. It doesn't sound like anything in your languages, but this is the Croatian word for it. So now you three, you have to figure out whether you guessed it or not, based on the fact I just gave you the Croatian word. Like, that's making no sense.
Točno rekao.
Głośnik. To był mój pomysł numer 2. Niestety.
Like that, to know, you have to have some
Ok,
side
idemo na
translation
drugu
or
riječ.
whatever.
Druga riječ, što je ovo?
Zvučnik.
Ovaj predmet je neophodan za određene
Hey, potato.
aktivnosti na otvorenom.
Halloween? Oh, we just go out to drink.
Ima dugu dršku i ravne krajeve na obje strane.
We go out
koje
to
se
drink in a
stavljaju u
bar
vodu.
and that's kind of it. We don't really
Ovaj alat
celebrate too much.
zahtijeva snagu
We've tried
ruku
recently,
i
but
dobar
most
osjećaj
people
za
see it as an
ravnotežu.
American thing.
Djeluje pritiskom na
Valentine's Day
vodu,
has the same issue.
pomaknuo
People see it
čamac
as
na noge,
an American thing, as like, you know, the capitalism imposed onto us.
ovisno o
So
tvojim
they refuse
vještinama,
to
može
get
se
into it,
koristiti za
honestly.
lagano rekreacijsko plivanje ili intenzivne vodene sportove. Što je to? Možete pitati pitanje.
От какъв материал може да бъде? Примерно от дърво или метал?
Može biti drvo, metal, plastika, prije se
Contestant
izrađivalo od
number
drva.
one is gorgeous. I don't know who Caroline
Чи можна
is,
сказати, що це транспорт?
but she is
Koristi
gorgeous.
se za putovanje na vodi sa čamcem. Kako bi se čamac odgurivao. taj
It's gonna be
alat se koristi
veslo.
kako bi
That's
se
the
čamac
Croatian word. The
mogao
Croatian word is
odgurivati.
veslo.
To można znaleźć na basenie? Czy to
We
jest
do have Black
basen?
Friday shopping
Gdzie
sales.
to jest?
Like, you know,
Možeš ponoviti, nisam točno.
very logically. very, very logically, Halloween is the capitalist idea that is being pushed onto our people, and we violently reject it. Black Friday shopping sales, though, are a great idea, and we welcome that with open arms. I have never seen as many people in a city at the same time as I have on the last Black Friday. It was disgusting. It also, fun thing, but like Black Friday in USA, how do you do it? You have it connected to something. What do you have at the time? You have something. Basically, you have a holiday, and then you connect the holiday. Thanksgiving, thank you, it's Thanksgiving, yeah. So you have Thanksgiving, and then after it you have Black Friday, right? We don't do Thanksgiving. So because of that, Black Friday is basically any Friday in that month. So different stores will have Black Friday on different Fridays, because we don't know when the Black Friday is supposed to be. It's mostly like the entirety of the weekend usually. It usually like starts on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday, and then it ends on Sunday or whatever. But it's in different weekends, because we don't do Thanksgiving, so we don't connect it to Thanksgiving. So we're just like, oh yeah, Fridays sometimes this month. So that's kind of fun for me. That's kind of fun. For Thursday, makes sense. We just kind of double it up. Because we took like the Black Friday part, but not the Thanksgiving part, which it is connected
Чи може
to.
бути таке, що хтось один тримає одразу дві ті речі? Що я маю одну в одній руці, наприклад, а другу в другій.
Nisam 100% siguran, ja sam shvatio nešto oko 2-3 riječi.
Damas! Damas!
kojim bi još
Fucking
objasnio
Croatian!
ili-
Damas fucking Croatian!
Znači, ovaj alat, recimo, je dugačak.
Who is that, by the
i
way?
ima,
He's kind of cute.
na oba kraja, na obje strane,
Ecolinguist?
ima jedan ravni dio.
Who the fuck are you?
Koristi ga jedan čovjek kako bi pomicao čamac po moru ili
Oh, it's some
po
random
rijeci.
dude named
Može se
Daniel.
koristiti u vodenim sportovima.
Yeah, it changed my mind. I don't care about him anymore.
To je,
Добре.
mislim da možemo
Thanks-taking
zapisati
is what
što-
indigenous people call
što
Thanksgiving.
mislim. Možemo krenuti, ako su
I've
svi
seen lots of
zapisali
calls in
sa Anom.
USA to change
Я
the way that they
написала
remember.
весело.
Yeah, it's
Це,
Vesla, yeah. I think she's correct.
Така дерев'яна
I've seen calls in
річ.
USA to change how the
яку ми
holiday is celebrated and how it's
використовуємо,
talked
щоб
about and
гризти.
just the implications of it.
Okej, Julka.
It's kind of cute
Ja mam
watching you guys from the outside being like, oh,
kajak, ale kajak też
I
może
like
być
that we
na
don't have
dwie
this issue.
osoby, 3
I like
osoby,
that our thing in
więc
November
nie
is
jestem
like
pewna.
Black Friday that we stole from you,
Okay.
Halloween
Yeah.
that we stole from you, not Thanksgiving because we didn't care enough to steal that one. But we do have All Saints Day, which is the 1st of November, and it's basically you go to the graveyard, then you buy stuff and you go to the graveyard, you bring flowers and stuff around. Is that rain?
Но бях малко объркана.
Is that impossible? Is that rain?
В началото каза, че този предмет има два
That's rain!
края.
No, it's not. People are walking without umbrellas.
Това е инструмента, с който
Bastards.
един човек задвижва
Bastards,
лодката,
bastards.
Не знам как се казва.
But kinda.
на български, ако трябва да
Yeah, but they popularized it, right?
Затова
I
написах.
remember doing research on
Okej,
this.
evo,
I have a
ja ću
notebook on
pokazati
Halloween
o
somewhere.
kojoj se riječi radi.
Who the
Radi se
hell knows
o
where it is? But like the ways that it originated and then like the Roman origin,
Ok, prije nego što
and
nastavimo,
how they were,
možete reći kako se...
how they had a thing with like
kaže
pater
u
familias,
vašim
and then how he
jezicima.
had to be making a feast at the time on a specific day for the ghosts of the other family members, and then you had kids going around the houses, and they were representations of these family members. So you would feed the kids, and in a
Možemo
way
preći
that
na
you would feed the
iduću
kids, you would
riječ.
also be feeding the ghosts. It
Što je
had like
ovo?
very spiritual
Ovo
meaning.
je osoba
And then you would be
koja
also
često
leaving
radi
food
u
out for
Stavru
other kids or those who
kako bi
just don't feel like
isporučila
coming
svježe
inside to
proizvode
eat with your
rano
family.
ujutro.
And then it kind of just
Ova
evolved
osoba ima
into a
posebne
whole
vještine
practice
i
connected
znanje
to
u
this.
stvaranju određene vrste prehrambenih
And then
proizvoda.
basically we took it.
Ova
Was the
osoba mora
Celts then, wasn't
poznavati
it? I think it was the
različite
Celts
vrste
then.
brašna i kako ih miješati.
and then
Među
it
proizvodima
was
koje stvara,
the USA. But
najpopularniji
USA
su
is what made
kruh
it
i kiflice.
as popular as it
Ova
is
osoba
right now. It
često
was also on a
radi u
different
vrlo
date
toplim
in
uvjetima.
Rome, wasn't it?
I iako
Shit, I wish I
strojevi
knew which
često
notebook I had it in,
preuzimaju
because I
ovaj
have a
posao,
million notebooks.
obrtnička verzija ovog zanimanja je i dalje
But
cijenjena.
one of them
Sad
had a
možete
part
vidjeti.
specifically on Halloween and also on the date, because I remember on one specific year in Rome they had to switch it. They had to switch the year because
Щось там пов'язано з
how was it?
замком.
There were lots of mosquitoes during the specific season when it was supposed to be held.
Ось. Де ця особа
So like they
працює?
couldn't be having
Що
as many
робить?
people walking around and
Znači,
stuff, so they
ova
just switched it to a
osoba
different date and that was it.
zapravo radi kako bi spekla
Yeah,
kruh,
most of the things I wrote it from Wikipedia, and then I just followed the sources around.
radi određene prehrambene proizvode, odnosno peče kruh, peče kiflice.
What's this?
e,
Pekar.
Radi... Da.
Pekar.
Czyli
Pekar.
ta osoba piecze na przykład chleb, ciasto i to
Da,
jest
da.
jej praca?
Ovo zadnje nisam čuo.
He doesn't know what that is. Girl,
Czy to
say
jest
business.
praca tej osoby,
Say
że
business.
piecze chleb,
Business, that's
piecze,
love word.
Tort, ciasto.
Let's do Ukrainian one speak. She knows how to say
Tako je,
business.
to je, tražimo znači zanimanje te osobe, da. Ok, možemo predstaviti o kojoj se riječi radi, pa krenimo sa Дианом.
Мисля, че думата е пекар, защото разбрах, че това е човек, който става сутрин рано.
Putting out fires in the windows
пече
here.
хляб,
Catholic Church.
кисли
Oh.
например, и температурата е много
Man, I
висока,
wish I would do that now.
температура.
I would be stealing all the pies. I'll live right next door to the church. I would be taking all the pies. Fuck 'em.
To jest ktoś, kto pracuje w
Of course. The Polish way to write it is like has 1, 2, 3 more letters than it's supposed to have.
Ana?
Я так само маю
Based.
слова
5 letters.
пекар.
5 letters the way God intended it to be. Why is the Z at the end in the Polish one?
Ok, otkriću o kojoj se riječi radi i mislim da ste svi pogodili. Znači radi se o riječi pekar, baker in English. Tako
Also, I
da
like how
svi
he now
ste
started
točno
introducing.
rekli
On the first one,
o
he
kojoj se
didn't have the
riječi
English
radi.
translation, and now he actually put on the
Možemo
English
nastaviti
translation.
na
I don't know
iduću riječ.
if he put it on the second one.
Iduća riječ.
I
Što
was
je ovo?
involved in my
Ovo je
Halloween
igra
conversation, okay?
koja je posebno popularna među djecom. Ova se igra obično odvija na otvorenom prostoru, poput igrališta ili dvorišta. U ovoj igri jedna osoba mora pokušati uhvatiti
How's he
drugog
actually gonna
igrača,
write it? Like
a
lovice?
cilj ostalih igrača je
Because
izbjegavanje
we
te
have
osobe.
different village
Ako netko
words for
bude
this one.
dotaknut, mora preuzeti ulogu hvatača
Harvest
i
Festival,
početi
since Halloween was an
trčati
evil
za
devil holiday. Oh
ostalim
shit, here
igračima.
too! Every
Ova
single
igra je
year,
vrlo
every
dinamična,
single
pa
year, the
zahtijeva
priest will
trčanje.
have a conversation
I u ovoj
about
igri
Halloween.
postoji mnogo
Every
varijacija
single year he
i
tells
može
you
se
it's
igrati s
an evil
različitim
thing
pravilima,
and you
ali
shouldn't
uvijek se
be
svodi na
believing that
trčanje
it's
i
real.
izbjegavanje
And
hvatača.
the fact that some people are
možete,
willing to believe that their dead loved ones are now haunting the world is a
Ne,
Satanist
ovo je
idea.
sport,
And this is what
zapravo
creates
nije
pain
sport,
in the
to je više
world,
igra
allowing
koja
Satan to
djeca
come in so
igraju,
close.
u školi, u školskoj
Always they
dvorani,
have a
u
speech
osnovnoj
about
školi.
how they're going to be holding some
okrągła piłka.
church services on that evening,
Nisam
so
siguran
the kids don't go
što
out.
točno
And
pitaš.
every single year that they hold the church service, the church is always filled with old grandmothers and their very, very young grandchildren. Like no one in between. No one in between comes
Ja
because we're
mislim
all
da-
getting
da
drunk
me
as
pitaš
fuck.
jel se
So the church is
igra
just
na
filled
istim
with very
mjestima
old
gdje
and
se
very young people
nogomet
praying,
igra
being
ili
like,
tako nešto.
okay,
Može se
God, I
igrati
am not
u
going to go
dvorištima,
outside
u
for this
školi,
red
na
Halloween
igralištima,
party happening almost
male
next
djece
door.
igraju.
Like, grandma, no one invited you in the first place. The fuck are you doing?
Се играе, тоест,
We did have like 2 years, I think,
се опитва
when
да цели
we actually went
играч
around the village
стока.
and we did like little
Nisam
masks
siguran
and we
što
went
znači
around
stoka,
to get candy,
pa
like in USA.
nisam siguran kako
And it
odgovoriti
went well,
točno.
to be honest.
А колко
I'm kind of sad that it wasn't a tradition that continued. It was kind of cute. It was kind of cute, you know, and people were actually happy to see us. I didn't expect that
Koliko
either.
grupa ima
But people were like,
u-
"Yay, the
u
kids are
igri
here!"
ili-
And then you would like do a little dance or
Pa
whatever,
zapravo
depending.
može igrati
And they would give you
koliki
lots
god
of
broj
candy.
djece.
It was just.
Može igrati koliki
It's
god
weird
broj
how
osoba.
well it was received,
Znači samo je jedna
considering
osoba
the
koja
fact that, like,
hvata,
on
druge osobe
Croatian,
trče i
I
cilj
want
je
to say,
osobe koja
in
hvata
the population
da
as a
uhvati
whole,
jednu
it
od
is
osoba
seen
koja
as an
trči
American
i
holiday.
onda kada
So,
uhvati
like, as a
osobu koja
holiday, it
trči,
is
onda
just
ta
made
osoba
to sell
postane,
costumes and, you
ona
know,
koja hvata
to have a reason
druge.
to get drunk, basically. It is seen as an American bullshit. But we were received really, really well. I live in a very religious village. We were received really, really, really well. So that was Positively
Ako sam dobro
surprising,
shvatio, da,
positively
znači,
surprising.
Jedna osoba trči i pokuša uhvatiti, odnosno dotaknuti druge osobe. I onda kada dotakne, onda druge osobe krenu trčati, odnosno onda ta osoba koja je dotaknuta postane ona koja trči i pokuša dotaknuti ostalih igrača. Znači radi se o igri za djecu. Ok, ako nema drugih pitanja, možemo...
I'm waiting for the Polish one to write it to see like 20 letters in a word.
Riječ.
One of them gonna be
Ako
Z.
ste napisali, možemo vidjeti što mislite. Znači, recimo, krenimo od Ane. Ana?
Я не впевнена, що це так буде українською, що це не русізм, не запозичення з російської мови. Але я написала догонялки, чи теж є таке слово салки. Це
Based.
така гра дитяча,
Based.
діти бігають, і є одна дитина, яка намагається схопити, спіймати другу дитину.
Okej, Julka?
Ja nie jestem pewna, ale napisałam Gonito albo Berek. To jest taka gra dla dzieci, taka zabawa. Ona ma różne nazwy w Polsce i chodzi o to, że wszyscy
Nice!
uciekają i jedna osoba
Actually,
próbuje
a short
złapać
word.
kogoś.
Relatively
A jak ją
easy to
złapie,
pronounce.
to potem ta osoba próbuje złapać kogoś innego. I jest dużo
Respect for
biegania
Poland.
i gonienia się.
Окей, и Диана?
Мисля, че става въпрос за народна топка.
What is that?
При тази игра обикновено има два отбора, но не
She's
съм
thinking
сигурна
of
дали
Graničar.
съм те разбрала. Може да се състои от много деца могат да участват в нея, няма граници и се опитваш да оцелиш някого. Ако го оцелиш, той излиза от играта, а ако хване топката, той
I like how
може
he's
да
being like,
цели някого.
he has no idea what's going on. None of these words were similar to Croatian words. He has no idea.
Otkriću
He's like,
o koje se riječi radi. Znači, na hrvatskom se to zove lovice, odnosno tag in English. Ako znate o kojoj se igri radi i mislim da su neki
Are they right? Learn
bodovi-
just because yeah, I don't.
Okay.
Also,
Imate
one of
još
their
nekih
one of
dodatnih
their
komentara?
letter
Možete
combinations
možemo krenuti
makes
sa Dijanom.
but it's a weird
Мисля,
one.
че не е съвсем това играта, за
I
която...
bet you know what Graničar is. Why the
мисля
fuck are you asking
първоначално,
her?
Тъй като ти не спомена да се играе с топка и може
He
да
also doesn't know what
думата
that is.
гоненица и децата просто тичат и се опитват
It's
да
just
се
you look at his face.
Okay.
You look into
Anna?
his eyes, and you just see he doesn't know what's going
знайшла
on.
ще одне слово. Я перевірила і дозволила собі перевірити в інтернеті, як це буде літературною українською. І інтернет сказав мені, що це називається квач. Але взагалі
Квач?
ця гра, вона дуже популярна.
Kvač.
І в нас в українській мові взагалі дуже багато діалектів, тому я думаю, в кожній області, в кожній
Ukrainian
частині
girl
України
is,
вона
adorable,
називається
I love
якось
her.
інакше.
Okej, i Julka?
I love it.
To ja zgadłam, czyli to jest Berek. Ale tak jak chyba w Ukrainie są różne nazwy na to, w różnych regionach.
Prigozhin has been much more grounded since the incident.
Ja jestem z Poznania.
Today, especially so, as he's
Tak
been
kojarzę, że
buried.
tak się mówiło. Ale Berek...
His grave has been marked though, so
Okej.
L.
Možemo ići na zadnju riječ.
You call it Berek? You
Što je
Pole?
ovo? Ovo je ptica koju možete
Oh,
susresti
pole.
gotovo svugdje na svijetu.
Grati.
Ova ptica je dobro poznata
Lova.
i često se viđa u gradovima.
Lova.
Dobro je prilagođena za život u urbanim sredinama.
It comes from
Također
lov,
se
like hunt, right?
naziva,
Because ours is lovica.
leteći štakor.
Lovica, like
Iako može biti
hunting game,
iritantna za neke
technically.
ljude,
Lovica.
ima svoje mjesto u
So I guess love
kulturi i
comes from the
povijesti.
same part.
Ova ptica je
It is
poznata
a
po
lova,
svojoj
lova like
sposobnosti
that
da
in
pronađe
Croatian.
put
Lova
do
means money.
kuće na velikim udaljenostima.
It's a
I neki ljudi uzgajaju ovu pticu zbog sporta ili zbog
I
njihovih
wanna say Dalmatian
navigacijskih sposobnosti.
dialect way of saying
Zadnje,
money.
ova ptica se često koristi kao simbol mira. Pa evo, možete pitati pitanje neko ko imate.
Okay.
Ja chyba wiem.
Oh,
Ja
she's
tak
like,
samo,
yeah.
ja też.
Oh, bro. It's because he said
Okej,
symbol
dok
Mira, and
da
everyone's
su
like,
svi-
okay, I know
da
what
nitko
piece
nema
is.
pitanja, da su svi napisali, onda ću ja samo sekundu napisati. Dobro, i za zadnje otkrivanje riječi možemo krenuti
Why didn't you have it prepared, you loser ass boy?
sa Julkom.
Ja napisałam gołąb. To jest taki ptak, co mieszka, dużo tych ptaków mieszka w dużych miastach. No i
Isn't
jest
it a
znany
different
jako
one?
znak pokoju.
Diana?
Isn't it a different one?
Също написах гълъб и разбрах, че тази птица
Isn't golub and golubica a different
се използва за
bird?
комуникация.
It's a different bird. Golubica is not the same thing as golub.
Конкретни разстояния и да се връща.
You would put a fucking golub
Част от
as the peace symbol.
Като цяло и че
Do people use golub
намерил
as a
своето
peace symbol,
място
like
в
golub, like the city dwelling one?
градовете и че може да пречи на хората.
Do we have a difference in the
Okay.
species, and there's not
Anna?
actually a difference in the species?
Я думаю, що це голуб. Це такий птах, якого можна дуже часто зустріти в місті серед людей. І він теж є.
We're watching a Croatian man
Okay. I evo
trying
ja ću
to
otkriti
explain words in
koje-
Croatian and
koje
then
se riječi
seeing whether
radi.
other Slavic
Radi se o
speakers.
golubu,
Why did he write
pigeon
golub?
in
It's golubica.
English.
It's a different bird.
I mislim
I'm
da
fucking angry over
su
this.
svi pogodili, tako da...
No, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, you little loser boy. Listen. Croatian lesson for you, okay? Croatian lesson for you. Golub is the ugly one. This is a golub. Okay, this is the city dwelling one, okay? That's the one used to spread messages around. Not this one. This is not a golub. Okay, he's fucking wrong on this. Golubica, which is another species. It sounds like the same species, but it isn't. This is by the way, this is Vučedolska golubica, which is one of the most important symbols of Croatian old culture, right? But golubica is a it is technically also the female version of golub, but also it denotes a whole other bird. Right? It denotes a whole other bird. This is not a golub. You would not call this a golub. You would not look at this and be golub. You wouldn't do this. Like, I have relatives, for example, who raise these birds specifically. They never say they're raising golub. They say they're raising golubice. Despite the fact they have females and males. It's of that species, right? No, it's this. This is what it looks like. This is the OG. You don't know about Vučedol? Do people know about Vučedol? Bird nerd. I'm just angry that he claimed it's golub. Like, would you use this one as the peace symbol? Do people use that one as the peace symbol? You don't use that one as the peace symbol. You use the proper one. You use this one, which is, by the way, not a golub. It's a golubica. This is not a golub. It doesn't count as a golub. This is our golubica though, and yeah, it's an old thing. It's an old thing. Look at it. It's kind of cute. Oh shit! They have war images around. Hey, Jan. Jan was a hero of Croatian war. He was a Frenchie. Came here because he saw our war on the TV. Felt horrible about what was going on. Came all the fucking way to Croatia to help us fight. We have a bridge named after him now. He was an amazing man. Why did humans choose flying rats as the peace symbol? To be fair, what else could we have chosen? Come on, like when you look at animals we got around, what else? What else could we possibly choose? Some dude arguing it's evidence that shamans existed in the area. I wanted to see if there's something in English. Bird. Wichita bird. No, there's nothing in English. Oh, it's about a boot. It's not a boot, it's a bird. Hey, by the way, you know this dude is a celebrity in Croatia.
Have you ever written an article?
You know this dude is a celebrity in Croatia. All he does is he writes articles which are like, these are the reasons why you should never visit Croatia, and then all of the reasons are fucking great. It's like, oh, you will have the best time of your life here, never visit Croatia because you will feel horrible about going back home to Britain. And he is like one of our most loved tourism. Yeah, he's not a guide. He doesn't like guide people around. He just writes. I don't know what that is. Commentator? I don't know the fuck he is. He just fucking loved around. Pigeon and peace pigeon. Okay, yeah, that too. Hey, did I choose flying rats as the peace symbol because flying rats were used to spread messages around? No, French. Jean was great. Shh. Late for the party. Prigozhin is buried already. It's never too late to party for Prigozhin going underground. Rip that little bitch boy. Yeah, I wanted to show you some videos, by the way. And then we talked about Croatia. Because it's important to talk about Croatia, okay? It's very fucking important. Also, I will have to teach you about meme history. You will have to look at meme history videos with me. I collected a bunch of them yesterday, okay? But also, 20th NAFO convoy. Come on. Wait, let me make this big. Come on. Pigeons protocol? Do I have to do like... Okay, nice, it's showing properly.
Hello, Velas. We are back in Kiev. It's NAFO convoy number 20.
Hello, fellas. What's fella in your language, by the way? Do you know what's fella in your language? Because you know what it is in Croatian? Momak.
Just a month ago, there was a basic conflict because Ukraine government wanted to take it back.
True, Noah. True, he sent another bird and then the bird did nothing, and then he sent a dove, and the dove actually brought a olive branch. True. True. Zjamek?
It's not ending soon. We need to more and more
Yatka. Oh, nice.
But next
That's actually cute. We all have good words. Are you talking about words? I have to play you a Swedish song. Remind me that I need to play you a Swedish song. I've been waiting to play the Swedish song for like, I want to say 6 streams in a row. Every time we mention Sweden, I'm like, oh, I have a perfect song to introduce you to Swedish people. And then I forget. How do you know Prigozhin actually showed up? Did he have an open casket? Did he have like 3 open caskets? Heh, get it? Heh, heh. Let's just watch NAFO. Whoa, USA!
Золотой час. Есть такое понятие «золотой час», который теряется во время эвакуации. Это очень важно для тяжело раненых, особенно если легко раненый.
Artificial language, really? Which one? Do you have a video of it?
Мы можем оказать на месте. Но есть люди, которым нужна срочная доставка. И эта срочная доставка, вот этот тайм, время, которое скоро не успевает. Для этого
respecting American culture.
Прицепом ранитые, загрузили, и мы летим.
What is American culture?
Эвакуации, когда золотое время, мы чтобы не теряли золотое время.
I do respect
Понимаете, это очень
Orange
важно.
Man and
Раненого
Capitalism.
выводят из-под огня с красной линии. Приводят уже для эвакуации, где есть точка эвакуации. И организуется точка эвакуации. Да, минимальная, где минимальная безопасность обстрела. Смотря зависит все от того, как идет интенсивность боя, продвижение и куда як. Ну, в среднем, да.
5 to 7. Oh. NAFO! Who heard that NAFO song? Did you know NAFO has the official song? NAFO fellas, NAFO fellas.
My name is Renaud. I'm coming from Belgium. It's already the first time that
Flower grower?
I come with the sniffing brigade, and this time I was invited, so I found that I had to come with some
Flower grower?
presents, and I took medical
Oh.
stuff, which seems really needed, but because not every soldier get that from his commander or from the organization.
Oh.
We have to be thankful for the Ukrainian
Restraining
people,
orders.
which are
We
fighting
just
and
managed
giving
to
their blood for our security
bully.
in the rest of Europe.
What's their name?
Join us
Grey
to
Zone.
support
Not Grey Zone, but
their government doing more efforts.
what's the name of the
That's
fuckers that
motivation
allowed
and of
fundraising?
this money,
Basically,
the
Grey Zone was
mission
trying
that they have
to
to
get
stop
funds to continue
aggressive
on eating
action
shit, and
against all
NAFO
bad
bullied the fundraiser down. Now they switched the fundraiser to another platform, so we're bullying that one too. So if you want to get engaged in some real NAFO shit, go do that. Send emails. If you go to the platform, you will find contact us, you will find emails, send them emails, ask why they are allowing a fundraiser by Grey Zone. I mean these.
Эти нормальные или как?
Да,
то все
вот
нормально,
это, вот
все
это,
подходит.
Вот, да, турникеты.
Окей.
Спасибо вам, thank you.
Все надо.
Это
Потому
все,
что он уже наш третий раз.
Unlimited free refills and unaffordable healthcare after you get diabetes from the free refill. That's how USA works.
Да, да, да.
I know lots of people who would see a very strong conspiracy in that shit. Blue moon? Why do you know that over blue moon? What does blue moon symbolize?
My name is Gigi, and I'm originally from New York City, but I currently live in Berlin, Germany. I am a DJ, writer, and I currently actually host a mental health podcast called Driven Minds. I do this because I believe in the values that Ukraine is fighting for, and I think this war is
cute,
the most horrific, unnecessary act of evil, and to help out in any way I can.
Oh, she's
is an
amazing.
incredible honor. So wonderful to meet you.
Oh, she's amazing. I love her. I love her so much.
Очень спасибо большое. Понимаете, это
NAFO is basically it started as a Twitter move to fight against Russian disinformation. It started as, hey, let's bully Vatniks on Twitter, because up until then, Russian propagandists, Russian diplomats, politicians, they were able to post whatever shit they wanted to be posting, and no one was really doing anything about this. Even now, the platforms aren't doing anything about this, you know, they just allow them to post bullshit. So then, we kinda, it was kinda like, I don't know what's the word for that, grassroots movement, isn't it? Bunch of people were just like, hey, we should go and mock these Russians. We should just mock them. So when people see their posts, they open up the comment section and they just see a bunch of people mocking them for lying, you know? This is going to create a strong effect, because the only way to fight against disinformation like this is by mocking it. There's nothing else you can do with them. You point out inconsistencies, they ignore you. You point out their lies, they just ignore you. They just spread more lies around, and that's it. They never actually take it back or admit that they were wrong or whatever. So the only thing you can really do is just mock the fuck out of them. So NAFO basically started around that, and then it also started around organized donating to Ukraine. At the time, you could donate basically any amount. Holy shit. You could donate, and then you could ask for a NAFO fella, and then the forges would be giving you your own NAFO fella. So you would get your own design. You could say which design you wanted, and people would be making it. And the amount of money at the time being donated was nice. It was nice. And then over time, you know, it evolved. So now there's like specific NAFO groups in certain countries. You have specific groups donating for specific things. For example, personally, I am mostly involved in the one donating to snipers and the one donating for drones. But if you want to donate for humanitarian aid, you can do that. If you want to donate for to pay hospital bills for Ukrainians, you can do that. There was a big fundraiser just recently to give an eye surgery to one of the girls evacuated from a Ukrainian city. She had really bad issues with her eyes at the time. They didn't know if she was going to be able to regain her sight. So there was a huge fundraiser to help her with that. So you can get into specifics over NAFO. You can get into specifics. There's like really good figures. Depending on who you feel like supporting, there's really good figures that you could be following, really reliable people around. Overall, it grew into... It started with a meme and it grew into something so much bigger than a meme. Beautiful to watch, really. Hey, yo, DB, how's work? How's the weather? Is it raining? Is it raining? Do you have some rain?
And kamikaze drones, I assume, are mainly made in Ukraine, isn't it?
Yes. Basically,
Man.
when we're speaking about the kamikaze drones or any other type of drones, that's the same
Yeah, they
type
did.
of drones
They did a
that's
thing
used
recently.
in
Yesterday,
the
just I
cinema
think.
industry. The same
NAFO
type
did
of
a thing
drones
with
that's used in the,
TDs for donations.
racing conditions
So
for
there
the
was a
FPV
post on
drones.
Twitter,
So
and
they're a little bit
NAFO
changed for the
Felinas
specifics.
could post TDs in the comments of this post, and then for each TD in the comments, the poster would make a donation of $1, and then people were matching the donations. So it also collected nice sum of money. So it was good. It was good. It was good.
Lost because of the connection. Lost
We were
because
probably
of
missed by
the
most of it, but
defensive
worked.
stuff, lost
Oh,
because
it
of
slowed
the,
down last 30 minutes.
because of the surface and other things.
Go on your
So,
Berdot to
because you need
avoid
to,
flooding.
put them right in front of the ground, and
Man,
last
I
20, 30
can't
meters you are
wait for
blind.
something to happen.
So
We're
you
having
need
nothing
to,
here, not even
you
rain.
need to learn how to work with in that conditions, and that's quite hard.
What is the usual life cycle of these drones? Would say so by week, 2 months, or?
Життєвий цикл буває по-різному. Це, по-перше, знання технології, знання місцевості. Наш підрозділ, моя група в топ-10, бо в нас за півроку тільки
Whoa, 2 drones in 6 months.
We also have one present for you, and this is
You can take the heat, unlike us rich folks in cities. True?
допоможуть
True? True?
зберегти життя нашим
What's the storm gonna do to me? Nothing. Nothing. The question is what I'm gonna do to the storm. I'm gonna beat it up. I'm gonna break it apart.
Это очень интересно, потому что первый раз я видел это месяц назад, я думаю, были первые
No,
видео.
drones are surviving.
А сейчас вы активно уже работаете этим, что
Ми зараз активно не працюємо, але ми коли вперше побачили це відео, як всі в телеграм-каналах, і ми реально з нашими саперами заклали міни, щоб протестувати цей варіант. Бо якщо міни на поверхні десь стоять, вони
Man, I've heard a lot about your
дуже
ranks.
сильно нагріваються, і завдяки тому, що там якийсь пластид, різні вибухові речовини, вони зберігають тепло.
They keep
Півгодини,
missing so
годину,
they don't
реально,
lose them.
після сонця
Hey.
можна побачити.
Final less than
Від землі
40?
до тепловізійної камери повинно
At
бути
night?
більше
Holy
120
shit, are you
щоб її реально
okay?
побачити.
How are you breathing?
Hi, I'm Christo and Wagam. I'm
And
a
on
member
purpose
of
and
the
on
Estonian
radioelectrical
Parliament,
weapons
and it's
concentration on
very,
enemies.
It's black and white why I'm doing this, because
I have a lot of
Ukraine
them,
is-
so I
is
have pretty
not
much all
fighting only for
the
Ukraine.
jokes in
Ukraine is
here.
fighting for Estonia. Ukraine
I
is
hope-
fighting for European Union, and we have to help.
I'm trying to find a way
I'm
to
trying
say
help
this.
as much as possible from the parliament side.
I hope
from
you
the-
have
from
found a
Ministry of
normal one
Defense
after
side,
being with a lot of
militarily,
weird ones.
Ukraine, but try to help as much as possible.
I
as
hope
an
you have
individual, as a
managed to
civilian,
find someone
as
who
much as I can in Ukraine.
has,
I think, of
how to
course,
say this,
the
an
most
acceptable
special,
amount of
one
humility
was when
naturally.
we were meeting those soldiers here, when we gave over those cars, just the sheer emotion from them.
Saint
that
Javelin.
They are not alone, and people from thousands of kilometers away come here to help them, to support them as much as possible.
Man.
Ну, ця машина
Oh.
дуже багато.
Oh shit, look at him.
Значить, не один обстріл і не один раз ми їх вже ремонтували і заклеювали. Значить, були артилерійські обстріли, і кульові, і
Oh damn.
такі простріли були. Вона горіла, ми її потушили з цієї сторони. Вона була в Бахмуті. Ми її на ній єдина машина, яка вижила в Бахмуті.
This is Sparta, he says.
Ну, я вам так скажу. Десь год уже.
Вот, это долго.
Это долго. Ну, мы ее ремонтовали.
Не, это супер, потому что иногда машина будет час, неделя.
Не, мы так ухаживаем за машиной, потому что треба ремонтируем ее. Это две наших машины, які згоріли. Это вот наша видеосъемка.
А это ваша?
Наша, да, это мы снимали. Це Бахмут зараз.
А это как-то?
Вот этот дом, тут ми були в цьому домі, його нема вже.
А это месяц назад или?
Нет, это сейчас.
Man.
Це наші льотчики літають, ну, наша група, і зняли це на даний час.
Oh. Prigozhin eating his popcorn in hell, watching this. Man, look at them. Wow.
Hey, NAFO fellas. So, today we finished our anniversary handout. 20 convoys done and 224 cars brought to Ukraine. And today we've delivered to military units only 7 of them, and 4 more will be sent to Kramatorsk, where they will be given to 4 different units as usual, and 3 will stay in Kiev because they will be rebuilt into armored and case-evac vehicles because we got funds for that. And in this convoy we got funds from 7 different campaigns. It's one of the records from all our convoys, and we want to say thank you to Alex Kinash. We want to say thank you to Kherson Cat, to Arthur
Hey, yo,
Rakic,
Kherson
this
Cat.
huge monster, Ford F-350, to Julian Sagansky, and few other
you.
donators who helped
you.
us to
Indeed.
gather all these funds to buy 13
No.
cars. And that's all only possible because these people have wide community of those who believe that Ukraine should win and
Arthur is
Ukraine
fucking
will not
based.
make it without the help. And that's true, and
Kherson
that's something
Cat.
that drives
It's a
us
guy.
and help us. And
It's a
very
cat.
important to continue this
It's a
support
cat. What do you mean a
because
guy?
Without your help, we will not be able to buy these cars, and our soldiers will not come back from the front lines. They will not see their families and friends, and it's very important. And we want to stop this war as soon as possible and win.
Absolutely. If I were a girl. Oh, you liar. You little liar. You're a dude, come on. If you saw Arthur now, come on. What do you mean, if I were a girl? Nah. Regardless of gender, come on. Arthur is fucking amazing. Okay? Liking Arthur is, inherent. It doesn't matter what your usual attraction is. Nah. He's just fucking amazing. He didn't make a new video, right? Am I correct on this? I think he made. Look at this dude talking about Croatia.
In
That was
20
shit.
minutes,
Attention
that
span.
got 1 million views within 24 hours. Nor had I until one rather drunken evening
Straight
in Munich
towards
about
that
7 or 8
dick,
years
you
ago,
mean?
when I had a commitment to a client to write an article called 25 Reasons Never to Visit Croatia. The concept of the article was to do something provocative with the title and to come up with reasons never to visit, which actually were positive things. And I just
See this one.
literally grabbed a beer from the fridge after coming back from the pub, and I just put down the first 25 things that came to my head.
I
And the
want
next
that
day he
job.
published it on his portal, and,
You go to a
then
pub, you
the whole
drink,
internet
you go
was
home, you
set
drink.
ablaze. It was in every single news portal. It got international.
You write a little
it
bit.
Was, everybody was sharing it. Every tourist board was sharing it, with the exception of our friends, the Croatian National Tourist Board. When people shared it on their Facebook page, they actually deleted it. 1 million hits in just over
They
24
didn't
hours.
figure out what the joke was.
Let me, 8 years later, quickly run through what those 25 reasons were. So the idea was to be a bit provocative. A lot of people commented saying, what kind of idiot are you saying never come to Croatia? So here are my 25 reasons you should never visit Croatia. Number one, the buildings are falling down. Because you have things like the Pula Arena, you have so much rich Roman heritage and UNESCO heritage here that it's really worth exploring. Number two, the
I know
trains
actual
have no
buildings
wheels.
falling down.
Back then we had seaplanes, the Hydroavioni, which was a service for
Nej,
European
det är
Coastal
ord,
Airlines
glave.
that came into Croatia in 2014. And it was actually the first seaplane service in modern European aviation history. And while it worked, it was absolutely fantastic. Number three,
I
the
knew about
buses
it.
look really funny. This is a country of 1,100 islands, and the best way of travelling in the season is by ferry. And just the number of ferry connections you can have there are absolutely fantastic. Number four, the taxis look really funny, because here you have incredible speedboat connections, and this is an
Here
absolutely
just doing
fantastic
the
way to start
Dalmatia
your holiday with a
stuff.
speedboat transfer
Fuck
from the airport to
Dalmatia.
your favourite island.
Give us proper
Number five,
Croatia.
the food looks funny. Have
Yeah,
you
it's
ever been
Dalmatian.
to Edible Dormouse Festival? Some of the seafood here is really interesting, but it's all fantastically tasty.
By interesting, he
fantastically
means
fresh.
fucking
And there was stuff
disgusting.
here that is unbelievable that you will never taste back home. Number six, the
Because
wine
it's
is
so bad.
unpronounceable. How the hell do you pronounce GRK?
Grk.
Grk. Grk. And some of the grape varieties
Nice.
are totally unpronounceable. But forget the labels. Have a glass.
Nice.
Have another glass and look at the labels again, and they become a lot more pronounceable. The wines
Grk.
here are fantastic. 130
You like seafood? Nah,
indigenous
not
grape
really.
varieties, including the
I'm a
original
hater.
Zinfandel, which
I
comes
like
from just that
seafood
fantastic
prepared in a
Atlantic
continental way.
They dress really funny. This is a incredible country of diversity of culture and
Because like we
tradition.
do,
Pretty much every single village in the
there's a
country
way to
has
take
their
their
own
fish and to
traditional
prepare
dress,
it in
their
a
own
way that makes it look better,
holiday.
taste better.
All the young people still today
And it's the
are
continental
part of
way.
that tradition. The best time to experience this is in September in Vinkovci.
No, you pronounce Grk like Grk. You pronounce G-I-R-K-I-N as
different generations
Saranje.
of music, the rakia. It's an incredible celebration of tradition that doesn't really exist.
R is the
Number 8, the music has no instruments. You
vowel.
won't be long in Dalmatia before you're
Vowel.
sitting
R
in the
is
evening
vowel
in a
in that word.
restaurant and somebody starts singing. The clap
It's
and
like
music
Krk,
of
the
Southern
name of the
Dalmatia
island.
is
Krk.
UNESCO protected,
R is the
and it
vowel. R is the vowel in Krk. And R is the vowel in Grk.
They talk a lot about olives. A lot. And if
He
you live
said,
in
what
Dalmatia
was the
for
other word
30
he said?
years as I do,
Prts.
I've had a lot of
Also,
conversations
R
about
is the
olives.
vowel.
But the reason is
Blood,
that olive oil
krv,
is absolutely
R
fantastic.
is the
It's some
vowel.
of the best olive oil in the world. Before I moved to Croatia, I
Krkbulj.
probably only had about half a litre of olive oil in my life. And now, if I get through a week without
Sran- oh,
less than half a
sranje.
litre, it's been a bad week.
Sranje. That's
It's
just how you say
incredibly
Girkin.
important part of this very, very beautiful lifestyle and diet. Number 10,
It's just our
living in a
dialectical
town
way
made
of saying
stone.
it, you know?
Just go along. It's
You
just
go.
Stone, stone.
Is that Russian
Nothing has
Girkin?
changed
In
for
Croatian,
centuries.
you would say it as
Beautiful.
to rusko sranje,
Number
and
11.
people would be like, yeah, I know which one.
Octopus for me, coming from Manchester, was like the food of the devil.
It's one of
And,
those.
As soon as I came to Croatia, all I could see on the menu was this thing called an octopus salad. And one day my friend, my Croatian
See,
friend,
they eat
tried it.
octopus.
And it was octopus with capers, with onions, with lettuce. I tried it, and it was one of the most delicious things I've ever tried. And it's the one thing I try and encourage other people coming to visit for the first time to try, because it's one of the
No,
best starters in the world ever.
Krk
They
is an
have the
island.
weirdest food
Krk is
festival.
a Croatian
It's a truism
island.
about Croatia that if it grows, somebody
It's the
will
one where
have
we
a
send
festival to celebrate it.
tourists
So
to,
during my time here,
because
I've
they
been
can't
to
pronounce
the,
it.
Pukiada, the edible
I'm not
Dormouse
ignoring you, I'm
Festival.
just playing the
It's
video. I don't want to
the
pause the video because
I've been
I'm
to
never
the
gonna
Father Bean
finish it.
Festival in Kastellar,
So usually
where
I play
I've
the
had
video
things like
until the
Father
end
Bean
and then I
ice
go
cream.
through the
I've been
links in
to
chat.
the Lavender Festival, where again I've had lavender ice cream as well. And up and down the country, if it's chestnuts, if it's
I don't
potatoes,
know what
if
is our
it's
biggest
peaches,
island.
there is a festival that will be celebrated. They're usually extremely good fun.
Hey,
The
see
last one I
this?
went to
Proper
was the
food.
Pukiada, which was red wine and goat milk festival. in
Based.
Belgrade. Try it. Coffee takes
Actually
an hour.
based.
It's impossible to sit with a Croat if you're in a
Actually
hurry and
based.
have a coffee, because for them,
This
having a
too,
coffee
also
is the most
based.
important part of the day. It's somewhere where they just sit, relax, talk, complain, and then play with their coffee for about an hour or so. No chance to have a really quick
Hvar?
coffee here.
I don't know what's
They
our
don't
biggest one.
understand
What?
the need to
Could
be on
be.
time. If you live in Dalmatia,
I
time is
genuinely have no
absolutely
idea.
relative. And I've lost count of the times I've been to meetings on time.
I know
at 10
Kirk is the
o'clock.
one where you tell
10 years
tourists
of
to
living
go
here, I then
because they
realised
can't
that a
pronounce
10
it, and then it's
o'clock
funny.
meeting is somewhere between
Oh, it is
10:15
Kirk.
and 10:20, maybe even 10:30. All
Oh,
you have to do is embrace the vibe
shit.
and life will be fine. There is almost
Oh,
no
that's
sand on
ridiculous.
the beaches. Imagine coming to a country where there's no sandy
Next time I
beaches.
speak to a
This is
foreigner
something
really
that we're
into
just not
Croatia, I'm
used
gonna
to.
be like,
But
what's
once
the
you
biggest
come there
island
and
we
you see the
have?
clarity of the
Just to
water,
hear them say,
and you get into the culture of pebbly beaches and rock beaches, it's a revelation. But it takes time to adjust, but it's worth it. Summer
It
is
takes
too
time to
hot
adjust, he goes.
because you have to go to the beach all day. Winter is too
Ah.
cold because you have these incredible vistas. You go to somewhere like Plitvice Lakes in winter, it is magical. It's a place that has 4 distinct seasons of the year, and if you go in winter, when you have all the waterfalls or icicles, it's just absolutely sensational. So much culture. They have a UNESCO World Heritage Site list that could fill a football team. This country, a tiny country of 4 million people, has
Tiny?
no less
Who you
than
calling
11
tiny?
UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Number 19, their fish have to swim 3 times. Imagine how hard that is for being a fish. So first of all, a fish will swim in water,
Ah,
and then as it's put on the grill, it
that's
will
an
swim in
old
olive oil,
Dalmatian
and
joke.
lastly washed down with a wonderful glass of wine.
Ah,
So
that's an old
a
joke. I
Dalmatian
didn't
fish will
expect to
swim
see
3
this.
times
That was
in
good.
the ocean, in the olive oil, and in the wine. There is nothing better.
Nice.
than a
Okay, I
grilled
didn't
fish,
I
straight
didn't
from the
expect
Adriatic.
this. Nice, nice.
Number 20, the Spanish word mañana comes from the Croatian word pomalo. There is nothing that
It's
happens in
pomalo.
a hurry here, and if you're one of those people that want to get
Pomalo,
things done in
pomalo.
a hurry, you can either learn to adapt or go home. The locals think they're the best at everything.
Built
They
like
think
Irish
they
cat
have the
farms,
best
really?
beaches in the world. Actually, they do. They think they have the best sea in the world. Actually, swimming around the Adriatic is not bad. They think they have the best
Not
lifestyle
bad.
in the world. And when I've lived here for a few years and I just see how contented people are just sitting around just chilling all day, I can't quite deny that that is actually probably the case. And the last thing really is after a week of coming
Oh
to
my
Croatia
man,
on
we
holiday,
have the best
you really
lifestyle
don't
because
wanna
we're
go home.
content with
What kind of
sitting
place
around.
is that to visit?
Oh, I like him. I like him. I like him. That was that one was an interesting argument to make. They have the best lifestyle. No, shut the fuck up. I will not play you. That was an interesting argument to make. Like they live the best lifestyle in the world because they're just content with what they have. That was interesting. I didn't see it coming, but that was interesting. Wait, let me see what I missed. Let me see what I missed. What the fuck?
Hello, my friends. My name is Arthur. Not Arthur, not Arthur. Arthur.
6 years ago?
My name correctly, maybe we can be friends. And I come from Estonia, but you're not going to remember.
Why was he making this 6 years?
I have not made a video for a long time. Why is this? I don't know. But today I want to make a video about handshakes. Or how do you say hello to a person or a friend in America? See, I come from Estonia. We do things a little bit differently. My culture is different. Everything, my upbringing is different. So that's how we say hello to each other. Hello. No, hello. Simple as that. We shake hands. You're a friend, you're a lover, you're a stranger, you're an enemy. You shake hands and you look in the eye until the other person dies of pain. No, that's not like that. But it's simple. You look in the eye, you shake hands, the handshake is firm, not painful, not loose, it's firm. That shows that you are a man or a woman who knows why are you here, what are you going to do, why are you going to do it, and where are you, who are you, all that what questions or W questions, you know.
Why did he go to Los Angeles?
Partner's hand strongly and firmly. But
Why
here
not
in
some more
America,
normal
there
part
are
of
many ways
USA?
to say hello, and almost all of them are physical. Let's get physical, physical. So my friends, there have been instances here, and I will demonstrate to you what has happened to me many times. Hello. Hello. Nice to meet you. What? Yo, what? What? Yo, what? Are you okay? What? Yo, what? I don't think you're okay. Do you see my point? So I go in with a single, very, everybody knows this.
6 years ago, impossible.
This is a hand. This one is a hand. You take this hand. Put it like this.
6 years ago, I can't believe it. This was 6 years ago.
Form their hand and do this.
This is
Hello, how are you? So this, you know how to use your hand.
oh,
If you're a right hand, you use
2013, 14.
when you use your whole body, your fingers, your eyes, your face, your legs, everything.
Like the style of humor, my man. It doesn't. It screams almost 10 years.
About America, I don't understand, but this is one of the biggest ones. I don't know how to say hello to a person physically. I can hug, I can shake hands, but everything that is in between a hug and a handshake, like the movement.
You know what this is? You know, like, have you ever had the experience of like seeing your teacher outside in the real world? You know, like you go to, I don't know, a festival or something, and there's a teacher from your school, and they don't fit in there, and they're just chilling, but it's so unnatural that they're chilling there. This is what it feels like right now. Like, he's not supposed to be using this. He's not supposed to be doing this. My man.
Why do you do this? To confuse the other guy? To make yourself look like you can do shit physically? Don't mess with me. Yo, I will fuck you up.
Like when you go out in a bar and you see your friend's parents and you're like,
Spasm and you can't stop. I don't know. Maybe it's this. Huh? Or maybe you just want to do one handshake. But your brain is fucked up and it can't decide. And it will say, let's do everyone's handshake. All of the handshakes you have ever done in your life. Boom. Oh. If you ever see me running around or walking around or whatever I do, if you come to me, you say hello, you say how are you, whatever. We do a single handshake or we hug. If you do anything else, I will walk away. I will walk away. And if you try to chase me, I will run away. And if you try to run after me, I'm faster, you can't run after me. Side note, if you ask what is wrong with my hair, then I have to say I wanted to look like Ragnar Lothbrok. What is wrong with your hair? Why don't you look like Ragnar Lothbrok? Go away. Why do you ask me these questions?
fair.
I don't think I will ever understand these handshakes. Maybe I will accept them, but I will not understand them. And again, if you go to Northern Europe, Eastern Europe, Northern Europe, maybe Scandinavia even, then less is more. Remember that. You have 5 fingers, 4 of them are like this.
Can I just... I'm there's something weirding me out about the fact that his shirt is like opened all the way until this, and there's like chest hair popping out. And it's another one of those like, what my man Arthur, the dude doing very, very good commentary on current events. Here he is right now. Look at him right now. Bro, 6 years ago, he was showing off his chest hair to the internet. How does that make you feel? Huh? Come on, how does that make you feel? I know how it makes me feel. I'm just weirded out. Hey, wait, let me click on all the links that we have. And then we gotta play Arthur. And then I have to show you my meme education. Perestroika deception or new lies for old? You damn well know Prigozhin is still alive. Yes, I agree. He died from the public limelight and is still doing his thing away from the public eye. Ah, you think? This tweet is from an account you blocked. Hey, I don't think he's alive. I don't think he's alive personally. I don't think so. And I actually have a reason to not think so. Political commentator, OnlyFans girl. Oh, it's a niche for me to take. I have a reason to think he didn't do this. And it's because, listen. It's way easier for Putin to just blow in the fuck up rather than pretend to blow him up and then to actually leave him alive and to go through all the effort of hiding his life. You know? Like, there's no point. There's no reason. Why? Why? For which reason would he go through the effort of keeping Prigozhin around? There is nothing Prigozhin is offering to Kremlin. If it's ever discovered Prigozhin actually faked his death and that he is alive, Putin is going to be fucked in the ass over this. He's going to lose every single crumb of power that he has now somehow managed to seem to return over blowing up of Prigozhin, right? I don't think there's any sort of benefit to anyone in this situation to keep Prigozhin alive. Putin doesn't need that old piece of shit. No one needs him. Wagner needed him, but who the fuck asked Wagner for their opinions in the first place? I don't think there was any reason for Putin to go through the effort. So that's how I see it. That is how I see it. Some say Hitler is still alive, which would be almost like, bro, look. It would almost be impressive for a man of his age to still be kicking around. But yeah, you never know, I guess. You never know. That's true. But yeah, I don't think he's alive, and I don't think he's alive because I think it would be easier to blow him the fuck up. That is how I see it. I don't know why anyone would try to keep him alive. Hey yo! Sniper dudes asked us for at least one, but if we manage to get two, even better. Nice, I need to save this. Well, here's a screenshot from their website for anyone wondering how useful this model can be. Man, I need to give cash money. What? Yeah, whoa. Whoa. Man, absolutely, abso-fucking-lutely, holy shit, looks good. What is it? He has a little camera on him and he flies around? Why is he, what makes one camera drone better than the other camera drones? What makes one drone so much more expensive than the other drones? People are saying that it's really, really expensive. Why? Oh, what is this?
Time in a communist country far away, there was a heavy bomber aviation regiment. During World War II, the regiment proved itself worthy in multiple combat operations, in particular long-range bombing raids against Berlin, Königsberg and Danzig. It was also the regiment which in 1942, amid the war in Europe, managed to safely deliver one of the top Soviet leaders to Great Britain and then to the USA. But is that what the regiment is remembered for?
Size, cam quality?
After World War II, the regiment became the first aviation unit in the USSR.
Oh, thermal vision. Oh shit, yeah, I forgot about those things.
The Tupolev Tu-4. And it was this regiment
that's true.
invited to fly their Tu-4s during grand air parades over Red Square, showcasing the aerial might of the Soviet Union. But is that what the regiment is remembered for?
No.
No. In the mid-50s, the regiment became the first in the Soviet Air Force to be armed with the most advanced jet bomber.
You can get a fancy drone and then send it to Ukraine.
Years later, it was the first Soviet supersonic bomber, the Tu-12.
They need a bunch of drones.
In 1965,
they need all the
regiment
drones you can spare.
the first in the USSR bombardment while at supersonic speed. But is that what the regiment is remembered for? No. But you screw up just once, and in the case of the regiment a few times and always epically, and you're remembered for that forever. The very moment the regiment got involved in an investigation regarding its crews exchanging the alcohol
that's
their
fair.
bombers
for crystal tableware from a nearby factory, the unit instantly earned the nickname the Crystal Regiment. Not for long.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the
because
cardboard
right
ones.
One of the regiment's
Thank you, Australia. You're my
while
best
on
friend.
landing approach collided with a train carrying frozen chickens. The unit immediately became known across the entire Soviet Air Force as the Chicken Regiment. It may seem that nothing could beat this nickname, but the very moment one of the regiment's bombers, due to a ridiculous navigation error, flew to Iran instead of Belarus, the regiment forever went down in history as the Tigransky Regiment. This is the tale of the 203rd Heavy Bomber Regiment and its legendary mirror flight.
Bro went to Iran? How does that even happen?
In March 1983, the Soviet Air Force initiated a large-scale military exercise known as Strike 83. Its objective was to plan and
Somewhere along
simulate
the way you should be like,
operations to defeat the enemy's aviation and aircraft carrier groups while simultaneously redeploying bomber regiments to different theaters of war. The scale and significance of the exercise could have been seen from the fact that the overall command was carried out by the Deputy Chief Commander of the Soviet Air Force, Marshal Alexander Yefimov. The
This dude
exercise
probably
involved
still on the
7
same
heavy bomber
position.
regiments, including the 203rd Regiment, which was a part of the 22nd Air Division commanded by General Gennady Nesterov. On the 23rd of March, as per exercise task, the regiment's bombers took off from Baranovichy, successfully destroyed a simulated enemy airbase, and landed at the Mozdok airfield in the Caucasus region. The mission was flawlessly executed, earning the regiment an excellent rating. But it wasn't the end of the exercise, since Marshal Yefimov, who was still in
the plane they
Baranovichy,
flew was the
announced
same
that
that the Iraqi
enemy
Air Force
aircraft carrier
used.
group
Oh shit.
had suddenly been discovered and must be destroyed as soon as possible.
Okay, then
to
I don't
destroy
know.
the enemy aircraft carrier, which according to the brief was found in the Caspian Sea, General Nesterov developed a nighttime strike operation and promptly briefed Marshal Yefimov and
Okay,
his
it was
team
the
of
night.
exercise inspectors
Okay.
on the details of his plan. The Marshal approved the plan without any comment. However, then he decided to personally evaluate the execution of the task by the 203rd Regiment, so he and his team boarded the plane and headed to Mozdok, which arguably started the chain of unusual events. It's hard to say for sure, but it's possible that the Marshal's departure put General Nesterov in an awkward position, since it could have appeared that the Marshal cared about Nesterov's regiment and successful plan execution more than General Nesterov cared about it himself. And thus, General Nesterov urgently gathered his own team, boarded the Antonov An-12, and also headed to Mozdok.
Okay.
In the Soviet army, the arrival of high-ranking officers always brought unnecessary pressure on the military personnel. On top of that, such arrivals almost always initiated the, let's call it the Russian army phenomena known as IBD, which stands for Imitatsiya бурной деятельности, or imitation of restless activity.
Okay.
To put it simply, in the presence of Soviet superiors, no one could be idle even for a second. And if it happened that you couldn't find anything to do, you had to pretend you were busy and make it look extremely significant, even if you were just tightening a knot. There was no exception in the case of the 203rd Regiment either, other than the fact that there was not one but two teams of high-ranking officers arriving to evaluate them at the very same time. And one of those teams was also in the active IBD state, since General Nesterov and his team were also eager to demonstrate that they were actively involved in the process of command,
okay.
or whatever that could be at any given moment. Neither was Major Mikhail Chizhov an exception. He was one of the 203rd Regiment's pilots and also a squadron's Zampolit, or in other words, the political officer.
Wait, what?
Which meant that instead of
Got
having
banned
some
from another
rest
pro
before
Russia
the
streamer.
typical
Which
night
one?
flight, he had to write various
Which one?
political
Which one?
reports, aka the essential role of the Communist Party in the successful completion of their previous flight mission. As one of Chizhov's crew members, Vyacheslav Merzlikin, later recalled, the situation in the briefing room was also a bit tense. First of all, due to the presence of multiple inspectors, but also because of uncertainty about the takeoff direction. The thing is that it is much easier to take off against the wind, especially in the case of heavily loaded bombers. But the wind that night was constantly changing, and weather control couldn't give a definitive forecast. Unable to wait any longer, the regiment commander decided to take off in a westerly direction. This was noted by the crews in their flight plans, and they then left the briefing room for their planes. However, as they took their places,
Oh, Grisha is having actually quite a lot
command
of
was sent over the radio saying that the takeoff
dissidents
direction
in
had
his
changed
chat.
to the opposition direction, to the east, and thus all navigators must update their navigation systems accordingly. And here it's worth mentioning one very important
quite
thing
a
about
lot.
the Tupolev Tu-22, its special
Acceptably.
navigation system called orthodromic. It's a bit complex, but to simplify it for the sake of the video, when using this system you could designate any point on Earth as a nominal North Pole. Usually this point was the location of the target. Next, you connected this point and the takeoff location with a straight line, creating the so-called orthodrome. If you flew along this line, the orthodromic course would always be 0 degrees. Based on this line, the navigator then calculated the headings for each particular point of the flight, as well as the landing and takeoff directions. The navigator also calculated the magnetic course, which together with other important information was then put on the flight map, and during the flight the navigator checked and compared the actual numbers from the instrument with those numbers on the flight plan. Inputting all this information into the system was the first thing that Tu-22 navigator had to do right after the ignition of the aircraft's engines. And
Fucking
that's
chaos.
what all the crews of the 203rd
Someone on my
Regiment were
Twitter
doing
loves that. Yeah, I've
after
got
being
no idea.
notified of the new takeoff direction. All except the crew.
Oh, what
of
is the
Major
game, by the way? Does it
Chizhov.
take a long
As
time?
Mikhail Chizhov recalled, he hadn't heard the new command about the takeoff direction since he came running to the aircraft when his crew was already sitting in the cockpit. However, it's still unclear how come Chizhov's navigator also missed the
And
new
word is
order.
not cool, but
Maybe
Grisha
his
is way
radio was
worse.
still off when
Yeah,
the command
I
was
don't.
issued. Maybe
Eh.
he didn't hear due to
I don't know why he's
the
still
deafening
around.
sound of starting the engines, but whatever the reason might be, Major Chizhov
I don't.
took his
I
place
don't.
in the
Oh yeah, no.
cockpit
I'm
and
asking if
started
it's long
taxiing,
because I don't want
not knowing
to
that their navigation system was set
play
with
long
100
games on
degrees
stream.
error. What
So then I
was
would
in the
like
situation
rather
was
play
that
stuff
according to
off
the
stream
task,
if it's
the
like
exercise had to be
depends
completed
on
in close to
how long
normal
of a time it
conditions,
takes.
and thus all crews had to remain radio silent right from the moment engines started on the ground and up until landing at their
And it's
home
not
base
helping
at Baranov.
me.
Meanwhile, in the flight control room, the situation was far from normal as well.
I wonder how,
What
like,
happened
my
was
proper
that probably still in the IBEDA state and in
password
an attempt
would
to
fail.
impress Marshal
My
Litvinov,
actual one that I'm
General
actually
Nesterov
using.
decided to personally take control of the takeoff process. He dismissed Lieutenant Colonel Karpov, who was
That
in
would be a
control
great
of the
fucking
regiment's
game to like
takeoff,
get people
and
to
took
upload
his
their own
place in the
passwords.
chair in front of the radio screens. The Tu-22 takeoff at night is quite a spectacle to watch. The heavy but sleek machine quickly races down the runway, followed by a bright 30-meter flame tail, and then
Whoa.
swiftly rises into the air. And probably that's what the entire flight control team was doing back then, enjoying the beautiful spectacle of the night takeoff. Otherwise, it's
Man,
hard to
fucking
explain why
Minesweeper.
neither General Nestorov nor anyone
I played
else
it as
in
a
the
kid
control
for a
room
while.
noticed that right after a takeoff,
I
one of
didn't
the bombers all
understand.
of a sudden started to fly in the complete opposite direction.
I didn't understand the meaning of the numbers until like far too fucking late.
As Major Chizhov later recalled, he completed the
You know how
takeoff
like you have
process
numbers and they
perfectly
tell you
well,
how many
and
bombs
after
are
checking out
around
the
each
system,
spot.
set the course for the first waypoint. Only then he realized that his wingman still hadn't taken position behind him. While searching the sky for his wingman and the other bombers of his group, it was already time for the next turn point, so he asked the navigator to check the course.
The orthodromic course on the map is 355, the magnetic course 295. Our actual orthodromic course is 355, the magnetic.
And here, as Chizhov recalled, the navigator hesitated for a moment. Chizhov thought maybe the navigator hadn't adjusted the lights in the cockpit and was having a hard time reading the compass and instruments. And
Okay.
indeed, in a moment, the navigator continued.
The course for the next waypoint at Oil Rocks is set correctly. Captain, a little to the right you should see the glowing lights of Baku.
Chizhov looked ahead, and indeed, against the dark background of the sea, he saw a peninsula the shape of a crescent bending to the right, as well as the lights of the city down below. As Chizhov recalled, he was a bit surprised that Baku, despite being the capital of one of the Soviet republics, looked so small, as if it was just an average-sized Soviet city. Of course, it wasn't Baku that he was observing at that moment. Here is what happened. Let's take a look at the 203rd Regiment flight plan, keeping in mind the orthodromic navigation system. I'm going to simplify things here just so you get the idea. If we set the location of the training target as a nominal North Pole, the bombers after takeoff should make a 145-degree turn to the left until their orthodromic course becomes 0 degrees,
Okay.
which they should then follow until reaching the target. That is if you take off in a westerly direction. However, if you take off to the east without having adjusted the navigation system, the 145-degree turn will send you in the completely opposite direction. Normally, even if such a mistake occurred, pretty soon the crew would
It's
notice
ridiculous,
simply
I love
because the actual locations you were flying by wouldn't match your flight plan.
Minesweeper,
However, in
'cause
this
you
case,
weep.
by using coincidence, the first major waypoint, the Absheron Peninsula with the city of Baku, had a very similar shape and was located at pretty much the same distance from the starting point of the flight as the Yeysk Peninsula with the town of Yeysk, with only one huge difference though. The peninsula was located not in the Caspian Sea, but in the opposite direction, the Sea of Azov. Being confident they had reached the Caspian Sea and following the flight plan precisely, Chizhov made a turn around the Yeysk Peninsula, located their exercise target, which appeared to be some random ship in the Sea of Azov, and performed a training missile launch. But the chain of coincidence didn't stop there.
Captain, do you see Makhachkala ahead?
Asked the navigator, referring to their next flight point, which was the town of Makhachkala, located on the coast of the Caspian
Oh,
Sea. Chizhov could indeed
shit.
see the town on the coastline. However, it was not Makhachkala but Sochi on the Black Sea coast. As Mikhail Chizhov recalled later, these weird matches of the terrain, distances, and towns with their flight plan put him completely at ease, and he fully relied on the navigator while
Yeah,
checking
I
all
thought
the
he was going to say
himself.
more about the
I
ship,
know,
but
it's hard to
no.
believe this simply looking at the map, but just to remind you, it was 2 a.m. They were flying in complete darkness. Unbeknownst to them, their Tu-22 had already been detected and tracked by the Soviet Air Defense Forces. In fact, the air defense had noticed them during their approach to Yeysk. The unidentified aircraft was unresponsive to radio requests, but its IFF system indicated that it was a friendly aircraft. Thus, the military decided it was a passenger plane, and they lashed out at the civilian air traffic controllers for not warning them about the change in the flight schedule. Meanwhile, the rogue plane all of a sudden turned left and started to fly over the Black Sea along the international route, quickly moving towards the Soviet border. Now the real alarm sounded, and at 2:53 a.m. the air defense urgently scrambled a pair of Sukhoi Su-15s from the Saidar airfield to intercept and shoot down the unknown aircraft that was trying to cross the state border. Despite
What?
the darkness, the interceptors managed to find the Tu-22 with their radar, and they probably would have shot the bomber down, but it wasn't the end of these amusing coincidences. It just so happened that it was exactly at that time when, according to the mission task, the Tu-22 weapons officer had to deploy electronic countermeasures, which he successfully did, completely blinding the Su-15's radar so that they lost their target. Unbeknownst to Chizhov and his crew, they successfully
Nice.
did the real interception, and at 2:58 a.m., the Tu-22 crossed the Soviet border and entered the airspace of Iran.
Oh, nice.
The further the Soviet Tu-22 went down into Iranian territory, the less and less confident became the navigator's voice and his reports.
Captain, ahead of us is Kursk.
Said the navigator, referring to the huge cluster of lights ahead of them. As Mikhail Chizhov recalled, he indeed saw a huge city bright in the night, and the closer they came, the more impressed he was with the size of the city, which was too big for a regional city like Kursk. But the strangest thing were the mountains. There are no mountains around Kursk, just plains.
Oh,
Something was
he
wrong,
figured
but
it
Chizhov
out.
couldn't understand what exactly. And he was right about his gut feeling, because the city they were approaching was not Kursk but Tehran, the capital of the Republic of Iran.
Oh.
It's worth saying here that intruding on someone's airspace is never a good idea, but in this particular case the timing couldn't be any worse, because it all happened right in the midst of the Iran-Iraq war, in which Iraq quite often used their Tu-22 bombers provided by the Soviets against Iran. Meanwhile, Major Chizhov asked Lieutenant Merzlikhin to use the Comet, a special geolocation system that existed for the needs of Soviet long-range aviation. The system was quite simple. The aircraft sent a coded radiogram that was received by multiple radio receivers across the USSR, which then triangulated to the source of the transmission and sent its coordinates back to the aircraft. It was far from precise, but even with a margin of 30-40 kilometers,
Only
it worked
luck
pretty
saving
well,
them
especially
from
in the Soviet
obliteration
Arctic,
too early,
with
yeah.
minimum landmarks. But the Comet was not responding.
Yeah, the
Not
art style is
malfunctioning, but
fucking weird.
precisely not responding, because Merzlikhin was getting confirmation that his radiograms were received.
Ah, yeah,
though
well
no
observed, well
coordinates were sent
observed.
in response. As they found out later, their radiograms indeed had been received, but the officer on duty, seeing that the signal was sent not from the Arctic but from Iran, decided it was just some sort of provocation and simply ignored their radiograms. Meanwhile, the navigator reported that their home base Baranovichy was ahead and they should start their
Baranovichy.
descent and landing approach. This was, by the way, the last time the navigator said anything on that flight. Chizhov responded that he was not landing until they could 100% confirm their location, so he started circling over the town, which of course wasn't Baranovichy at all, but the Iranian town of
Dude.
Mashhad. Chizhov started thinking of where they might have mountains in the USSR. There were the Karelia Mountains, but they were far to the north. There were the Carpathian Mountains,
I mean, you're kind of
which
far.
was plausible if they had veered from the course to the left. He knew the Stry air base was there, so he started calling them on the radio but no one responded. There was no response from anyone. Everyone was silent. His navigator, his 3 airbase, the Comet, the other planes of his group, the flight control center, everyone. And then something happened that was so frightening it made Chizhov, as he described it, doubt his own eyes and made his hair stand on end. He saw the sun slowly rising right ahead of them, which in no way could have happened if they were flying to the west. His navigator still remained silent, probably due to the shock of realizing his mistake. So what Chizhov did after seeing the sun was to turn his bomber straight to the north, hoping that way to get back to the USSR. They had been in the air for 3 hours already, and there was another problem. They were quickly running out of fuel. So Chizhov started to call for help on an open radio channel. His distress call was finally heard by an air traffic controller from the airbase Mary 2. Both Chizhov and Merzlikhin knew nothing about this airbase and couldn't find any information in regards to Mary in their flight directory. They knew there was a possibility it was an enemy trying to guide them to their airfield, but they had little to no choice. They were now almost out of fuel, and Chizhov asked the air traffic controller to guide him to Mary for landing. Funny enough, 2 fighters were scrambled to escort the bomber to the airbase, but since it was early morning, one of the fighter pilots in a rush forgot to update his IFF transponder to the new code for the day. So as Merzlikhin later recalled, while they were making their landing approach at Mary, those 2 fighters were flying somewhere else behind them, chasing each other. It's worth noting that the landing wasn't just a simple regular thing here. Mary Airbase was made for smaller sized fighter bombers, so the runway was shorter and much narrower than those intended for heavy bombers. Nevertheless, Mikhail Chizhov, who hadn't enough fuel even for a second try,
This reminds me of a video I wanted to show you.
Perfectly on the first attempt. But unfortunately, this was not the end of the ordeal for the Tu-22 crew.
What now? It's getting worse.
The Soviet supersonic bomber with the new Ha-22 missile flying to Iran, of course, raised a huge disturbance in the Soviet Air Force, and a thorough investigation started pretty much right after the Chizhov's landing at Mary. It was determined that the main cause of the incident was an incorrect course set by the navigator, which had made the crew completely fly in the opposite direction, as if it was a mirror reflection. It's still unclear why the navigator missed the radio command about the
He's Russian, bro.
direction, but most importantly, why he ignored the numbers from the instruments.
He's
Most
Russian.
accounts tend to believe that Drozdetsky refused to
They're
doubt
allergic
the
to
orthodrome
numbers.
system,
They're
thinking
allergic
that
to
it
logic.
was the magnetic compass showing incorrect information, and thus he provided the pilot with incorrect information throughout the flight. Speaking of the pilot, pretty much all accounts agree on Major Chizhov's exceptional piloting skills, which in particular made it possible to save the aircraft.
Exceptional
crew,
piloting
but at the
skills
same
was
time, it's
turning
hard to ignore
quickly
his blunt
to escape.
negligence in regard to the overall control of the flight and the navigator's work in particular. Had he just once checked the navigator's reports against the compass reading in his cockpit and the flight plan, he would probably have noticed right away that they were flying in the wrong direction. But he didn't. Neither is there a definitive explanation of why Iranian
We don't know.
defense didn't respond to the intruder. Sure, the Soviet bomber entered Iranian aerospace while flying
The Iranians were like,
international flight
"Look at
route,
these idiots."
But then it flew freely over Iran, including its capital, for more than 2 hours. Some
Man.
accounts say that Iran actually did send their fighters, but they couldn't catch the Soviet bomber, which I found highly doubtful, considering that Chizhov wasn't running away but simply circling over Mashhad. The most plausible version, if you ask me, is Merzlikhin's explanation about the earthquake that happened in that
What?
region of Iran right at the time of the flight, which probably distracted the Iranian air defense from the unknown aircraft. According to records, the earthquake indeed happened in that region, and given the number of coincidences during this mirror flight, I don't doubt yet another coincidence either. As was typical for the USSR, even
That
though
makes
the
sense.
incident ended well with the crew and aircraft making it safe and sound, the repercussions were huge. Roughly 2,000 people in total were punished, downranked or fired, mostly from the air defense forces who failed to intercept the escaping bomber. Most amusing, if this word can be used to refer to punishment, was the reprimand of Lieutenant Colonel Valery Karpov, the deputy commander of the 203rd Regiment, who was supposed to command the takeoff process in Mozdok, but was dismissed by General Nesterov. Surprisingly, his reprimand stated that it was not him who was dismissed, but that he removed General Nesterov from command. As
bro.
Karpov said, he didn't even want to dispute this statement because now he was probably the only one in the entire Soviet Air Force who had such a nonsense reprimand. Unfortunately, the worst consequences of the mirror flight appear to fall on Major Mikhail Chuzhov. As Mikhail Yartsev described in his book, suffering from never-ending investigations and fake accusations of defection or treason, Chuzhov eventually decided to retire from the Air Force. However, this didn't help, as it seemed he took the incident too deeply to heart, and in less than a year he suddenly died from a heart attack, in some way proving the saying that the captain takes full responsibility for the deeds of his crew. In comparison to the tragic end of Major Chizhov, the life and career of First Lieutenant Drozdetsky, who was in fact the main culprit in the mirror flight, may seem to look like a Soviet success story. All accounts of his story, without exception, describe Drozdetsky as a poor, skilled navigator who wasn't fit for service on the complex Tu-22 bomber. In fact, it was discovered later the regiment's chief navigator multiple times requested that Drozdetsky be transferred from work as a navigator to another position, but his request remained unanswered.
Why are you
Meanwhile, after
thinking
the
about
investigation,
those
Drozdetsky
punishments?
was
Holy
downgraded
shit.
to lieutenant and
I
then transferred
think
to
it's
the
brutal as
200th
fuck, and I
Bomber
think
Regiment,
we
where
can
he
do
flew as a
better
second
as society.
navigator on the Tu-16. He remained with the Air Force up until his retirement in the rank
I
of
think
major,
enjoying
holding the
torture for the
position
sake
a
of
regiment's
torture
chief of
should not
headquarters,
be
which probably means that even though Drozdetsky really sucked at navigation, he was nevertheless exceptionally good with mathematics.
normalized,
I just
even
don't
if you
have
do it
another
against horrible
explanation
people.
for his successful career. I mean, those who are good at math always succeed because you need math literally every day. Of course, I'm not talking about the mathematical skills you might require to become a navigator in the Russian Air Force, because similar to 40 years ago, your primary tool would be not a computer but the so-called Anelka, that we call slide rule. But I mean those math skills that will help you in everyday decisions, even if you're just
Hey,
a
yeah,
casual
Wizard, how's
person
life?
pursuing whatever your passion is. And I know what you'll say, I hate math. I know, I hate it too. Unlike most of you, I studied
Is it
in a
gonna go into
Soviet
an
school.
advertisement?
My
It
math
feels like an
classes were at least
advertisement.
1 hour every day, 6 days per week for 11 years, occasionally mixed with classes of assembly.
I'm
and
feeling an
disassembling
advertisement coming.
AK-47s and throwing grenades at imagined NATO tanks. And you know what? I still remember how to disassemble and clean an AK-47, but I don't remember much from the math classes. Fortunately, you don't need to take my past to learn math, because now we have Brilliant, an amazing online
No,
learning
no one
platform that
deserves
offers
the
an
punishment. That's a stupid ass childish way to look at the world. No one deserves torture. Plus, we don't. We, as normal people, shouldn't support torture either. Holy shit. That was a great video. It reminds me, I wanted to show you, wait, do they have more? Oh yeah, they have more and all of them are mocking Russia. Nice. Cause fuck, what did I want to say? It reminds me of that video that I wanted to show like few streams ago and then I forgot about it. The one which was mocking the state of Russian Navy. That was fucking fun. That was the one that we did watch, and then there was the other one that we didn't. And I forgot which one it was. This channel, Fuck Soviet Air Force. Man. Fuck, I'll need to show you my news, and then if we have some time at the end of the stream, we need to watch another one of these. This was great. Holy shit, I need to subscribe this. Kinzo Misa? Wait, short one? Oh shit, there's a lot of videos on it. No system will always convict the right person, so if you make it legal, you are condemning some innocent people to death torture. Also normalizing it so it can more easily be extended to less heinous crimes. Absolutely, abso-fucking-lutely. But also, like, man, just the idea. It reminds me that people, we have this thing here that is way too normalized, personally. I don't know if you ever saw people commenting. If you ever check the comments under news about like horrible shit happening. But every single time we have a case here in Croatia of like a crime happening, especially if it involves children, you go to the comments and there's just piles and piles and piles of people basically jerking off to the idea of torturing these criminals to death. And they tell you what they would do to them and what they would do to their corpses and what they would do to their families. And it's such a vile thing to read. Holy shit. And just like, I don't feel like normalizing stuff like this is ever good for anyone. Holy crap. It's horrible. It is horrible. Like, you get people with fucking jobs, people with fucking families. And they will go on the Facebook news sites and they see a case of a criminal doing something horrible and they respond with like a detailed account of how they would torture this person. That's a fucked up fucking brain, my dude. That's a fucked up brain. Talking about the death sentence, I never changed my mind on the death sentence. Because I used to be like, oh, it's sometimes justified. My opinion was that it's sometimes justified. And what changed it is... like I showed you, I still have to talk to you about like this meme course, right? But I actually took a course on this, which is FutureLearn, and I took a course in criminology. And I took a course in, I specifically was questioning the witnesses because I was interested in that. And in one of the first things they show you is the Innocence Project website, which is very, very interesting. It's this one. And they show it to you because a lot of these people were put in prison because of witnesses claiming that they are guilty, right? Innocence Project basically works to save people from prison. So you can, wait, they updated the site. This is a bit different than last time I was here. But you can look at the cases of people that Innocence Project has managed to save. You can also look into, have they pled guilty? What were the contributing causes? Was it a death penalty case? What was the race of the defendant? What was the race of the victim? Year of exoneration. You can look at all of the details on this, right? And so many of these people just got put into prison for the dumbest fucking things. Just dumbest possible fucking things. One of them is a teenager. What was her name? She was a teenager when she was questioned. Her IQ was like 80. A teenager. And what happened is police kept her in the questioning room for days until she crumbled under the pressure. And then they put her on a death sentence. As a reason, because they didn't want to convict another group of dudes, even though there was the evidence of the dude doing the crime, they just didn't want to convict them. So they put this poor girl in prison. Later she was thankfully released, but it's ridiculous. You look at people here, you will see people who went to prison just because they got the state-appointed lawyer who was shit. One of the cases is a dude who, there was evidence of him not being at the crime scene, right? His lawyer needed to submit this evidence to the court, but his lawyer didn't do his job at all. Like, genuinely didn't do his job. He didn't show to any of the court hearings. He didn't submit anything to the court. He was just like not there. That was it. That was it. It's like a horrible thing. When it comes to comments about torturing Russians, I think that's kind of cringe too. I think who made a good? I think it was Dylan at one point who made a good response to it about it being basically just edging out. I think that's, even though I know that Russophobia, GG and everything. When I look at the videos of like crimes happening in Ukraine, and I see people down in the comments making detailed accounts of how they would torture Russians for it, especially like if you're not, how do I say this? If you're not actually doing something to help, it feels very like you just like to jerk off to torture porn. You know what I mean? It's from my experience, people who do this type of a thing, unironically, are very rarely people who function well. Very rarely there are people who are actually useful to the cause in any sort of a way. Very rarely are people who donate to the cause the same people that will make like a huge fucking account of ways that they will torture Russians. And then like you do nothing. You actually do nothing. Your contribution to the cause is an angry comment that makes you look like a primitive, makes everyone connected to you look like a primitive. It's not like you're going to do anything about this, you're just angry. It's no addition to the situation at all. I think just overall like the torture stuff isn't really my forte. Yeah, I can understand like if you see horrible stuff, I can understand the anger. I think I'm just against this anger being used in such unproductive, cheap ways. You know? Like you're angry, go donate, bitch. You're angry, go contact your local politicians and be angry at them for not doing something to stop this. You're angry, go and contact one of several organizations which still work with Russian agents and let them know how angry you are, you know? Let them know that they are breaking the sanctions and they may suffer for it. Let them know what's happening. You're angry, do something. But like, I don't know, writing long comments, Wait, where was I on these? I forgot where we were before the torture conversation. But yeah, overall, wait, let me give you the link to this. In case you wanna check it out, in case you wanna feel disappointed in humanity, and in case you wanna be fully 100% against the death sentence, and also fully 100% against any sort of a torturing sentence at all, because a horrible fucking website, my dude, horrible. Is this like the new one? Can we even like see what the newest case is? Sentence 60, eyewitness misidentification. Great. Eyewitness fucking misidentification. Last time I was on this website, they would give you like longer accounts of what was going on. I guess maybe it's like for some of them you get the longer account and for the other ones you don't. I don't really know how it works. Or maybe it's like my browser size which is fucking it up. Who the fuck knows? But basically they used to be huge accounts of the thing. Let me try this. No, I guess they didn't update. I guess they didn't update and now it's just showing up the minimal amount of text on most of these. Which kind of sucks because they used to be having really detailed stuff. But eyewitness misidentification, for example, was a really interesting one because in some of these the police just wasn't taught how to properly question the witnesses. So what would happen is there's like a thing when it comes to questioning the witnesses, there's a thing that you should never imply that from the lineup they must choose one person, and in a lot of these cases Osmo, we're just going to get rid of you because so far you've given. Or do we like time you out? We're gonna time you out, and then if you stay stupid, we're just gonna ban you. But yeah, in some of these cases, you had a situation where the cops would tell you to pick someone from the lineup. Basically, they present it as like, oh, you saw who did the crime. Point to them in the lineup. And the problem is that you imply this person is in the lineup. So there was a really interesting exercise done as the part of the case, as the part of the course that you can get. And in the exercise, they show you a video, and it's like a huge conference room, right? Huge conference room. I actually wonder if it's like, can I somehow get access to it? That would be great to show you. There's a conference room, and there's a bunch of desks. and there's laptops on these desks, right? And there's a dude, and he is wearing a hoodie, but his hood is not on. So he's wearing a hoodie, and he walks into the room, and he takes all of the laptops. You see the dude from multiple angles. You see the dude, right? You see him as he's walking in the hallway. You see him in the conference room. You see from like multiple security cameras, you see him. You see his face. You see his body build. You see every single detail about the dude. Walks into the conference room, picks up every single laptop, puts it in the bag, leaves, right? You see every part of the process. And then they do like a little introduction to the course, and then they're like, hey, now here's the image of 9 dudes. Pick which one of them is the dude you saw in the video. And what happens is you make a fucking pick. None of them is the dude in the video. Like, I was so sure. I was looking at the dudes, 9 of them, and I was like, okay, this one is too fat, it's not him. This one has brown hair, it's not him. I was crossing out the ones who don't seem like the dude who stole the laptops, right? It was the white blonde dude, actually. So you cross out all the dudes who are not that one, and then at the end you're left with like, I think it was 3 blonde dudes there. And you're like, one of these, one of these, one of these. So you pick out the one which is the most likely to be it. And that's the problem. You're not supposed to pick out the one who is the most likely out of the lineup. Because every single person who made a choice made the wrong choice, because none of the dudes there was the actual dude who stole the laptops. So very often when, in real life cases, it happens with witness misidentification. That is what happens. They look at the lineup and you're like, pick the dude in the lineup, and you're like, okay, not this one, not this one, not this one. There's like 2 or 3 people who are most likely to be the dude that I saw. I'll just pick the one who looks closest to what I saw, because in my head the dude that I saw has to be here. Partially this is to be blamed on the police implying it. It has been shown that if you actually give to a people like a lineup, and then if you make a choice, none of them, they will choose none very, very often, because they don't have the pressure to pick one of the people. They can just choose none of them looks like the person they saw. And it improves the rate of witnesses refusing to misidentify the person so much better. So yeah, overall, very, very interesting thing. Don't support torture towards people as a punishment for crimes. That is ridiculous. And wait, I think I missed everything.
Look at that MiG-29.
Oh shit, I saw this one.
Motherfucker. Idiot doesn't even know I'm locked onto him. Mikoyan really thought they could make something as good as an F-16. The 29 in MiG-29 is the amount of times it tried to take off because it was built by Soviets with cheap metal just so they could have a taste of what we have. Oh, it's a 4th generation fighter? That's cool, I don't remember asking. The missile guidance system doesn't care about what it can do. It will never be able to obtain the position of the missile because the RWR doesn't even work half of the time. And if it does work, it doesn't even show where the missile is coming from. It just goes, hey, dumbass, you're about to die in the next 20 seconds. Time to start praying. Go ahead, pull a Cobra maneuver. I hope you like eating a sparrow, dumbass. Thinking he's the main character of this story. You're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy. Go back to the highway road you took off from, since the runways at your airbase are just as badly built as your aircraft is. I hope your landing gear lets you down like your government did back in '91.
There was another video this same dude had.
Ugly-ass plane you call a fighter.
Is it this dude? Which video of his did I see? And it was fucking great. Man, I've got no idea which one it was. It was the best one. It was so good. It went viral, I think, for a while. I remember just looking at it and being like, bro, this is the funniest shit I've seen. Nah, who the fuck knows? What links did I miss? All of them, basically.
What's that on my radar?
That one.
Oh, it's just a Kinzhal hypersonic ballistic
this
missile
one.
approaching an exact position. Oh my God, it's so fast, I'm terrified. Even this MIM-104 Patriot missile system can't intercept it. Oh wait, I was wrong, it turns out that it can. Oh, you're traveling at 3,500 meters per second. That's nice. My phased array tracking radar still gives my Patriot enough time to wipe its dick on your mom's curtains before launching a PAC-3 missile that will rapidly intercept your Kinzhal at a precise location where it currently isn't. Russia's new strategic defense weapons? Wow. It must use some kind of advanced tech like a scramjet or in-flight maneuvering. Oh wait, it turns out it's just a regular ballistic missile that goes fast. Why don't you go back to your manufacturer and come back once you have something interesting that wasn't developed 50 years ago by that sorry excuse you call a military-industrial complex? The only thing complex about it is the convoluted way you go about acquiring Western chips for your missiles. Your acquisition companies use more shells than a fucking Matryoshka doll. Even then, your weapons have less silicon inside than your sister's tits, and that's not saying much.
I was Slavic? Man. He was fun. He was fun. Russian missiles hitting toilets in Ukraine? What? There's a backstory?
It's now been a year since the beginning of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. A long year full of pain, suffering, and
Bro,
loss.
Shani basically no news. We just keep on dunking on Russians this stream.
Bravura reports by the Russian Air Force on the destruction of various Ukrainian military targets, which in reality were mostly residential buildings and civilian infrastructure. I could talk all day about the Russians, whether military or so-called ordinary people who find vigorous delight in regards to the death of Ukrainian civilians, but this is aviation history and not the World of Animals channel. Therefore, I want to draw your attention to something else. If you have been following the news of this war, you may have noticed that among all the houses, hospitals and schools destroyed by the Russian missiles in Ukraine, there were also a number of hits on ordinary outdoor toilets. Of course, you may think that those hits were nothing more than just a weird coincidence. It is also fair to think that those news stories could have been just simple fakes created so to mock the Russians. Indeed, it's hard to imagine that the Russian precision-guided Ha-29 missile, worth over $1 million, would somehow lock onto someone's outdoor cottage toilet, which is basically nothing more than a lone standing plastic or wooden box with a small path leading to it. But if I tell you the story of how the Russians back in the 70s used a yellow sand road to cheat on the Ha-29 missile trials, then probably the 2022 Ha-29 toilet hits in Ukraine will no longer look that extraordinary. When speaking about Russian weapon technologies, the modern examples of which are usually just upgraded versions of Soviet-era developments, it is almost impossible to avoid the matter of the Russians copying Western technologies. The Russians usually prefer to either simply ignore these accusations or say that there is nothing wrong with copying. Everybody does it. Even the Americans themselves sometimes copied the Russians, which, to be fair, is somewhat true, though the main difference is that the Russian military which copies Americans exists in real life, while the American military which copies the Russians is mainly in Hollywood movies. In 1998, the HBO network released a comedy film called The Pentagon Wars. The opening scene of the movie pictures a hearing before the House Armed Service Committee, where General Partridge, played by Kelsey Grammer, is accused of using various tricks and gimmicks so faulty weapons could pass military trials. One such trick was the general ordering electric hot plates to be taped to the surface of an armored vehicle so to help the heat-seeking missile find its target. It is indeed a hilarious episode that could hardly be imagined happening in real life, but there is always Russia. The thing is that the funny episode created for this American comedy greatly reminds one of a real-life episode of the Soviet military cheating while demonstrating to its high command the new Ha-29 missile, which refused to lock onto its target. This episode was described by the famous Soviet test pilot Vladimir Kandaurov in his book. But before we dive into this hilarious story, I want you to learn one word in Russian.
Why? Smekalka? What is
I
that?
bet most of you know some Russian words like привет, на здоровье, бабушка, балалайка, and judging from the average age of my audience, even such words as perestroika. However, those are just
Average age of my
simple
audience.
words with only one straightforward meaning. Meanwhile, there is one word that I'd recommend you learn, which carries a far richer and a broader meaning and in a way may help you better understand Russia and even some historic events, whether of today or 100 years ago. This word is smikalka. If translated from Russian to English, literally the closest meaning would be the word savvy, except it wouldn't be 100% correct. Here is why. The English dictionary describes the word savvy as a practical understanding, shrewdness or intelligence, especially in practical matters, common sense, and it is exactly the latter definition which could not in any way be applicable to the Russian smikalka. Which is why, when translated to English and taking into consideration the Russian reality, arguably the closest to the proper meaning of smikalka, freaking dumb. Especially when it comes to the so-called Russian.
Very similar video from Perun, really?
Basically, smikalka means the ability of a
Also on the
person to find a
toilets?
smart solution in a difficult situation. To be fair, there is nothing wrong with that by itself, which is why
Haven't seen
words
Perun in a
like
while. I
savvy
need
are
to watch
spread
his
in
videos
many
again.
languages. However, what makes smikalka different in comparison to similar words is that in Russia it is praised to the highest possible extent on a very cultural level. The thing is that finding a good solution makes ordinary Russian people think of themselves as very smart and even unique. And such a self-perception is extensively cultivated and supported by the Russian leadership, because while feeling proud of their smikalka, ordinary Russian people forget to question their leadership about how they ended up in that difficult situation in the first place. I know for some of you it doesn't make any sense, so let me give you a fresh example.
Okay, I see
On
it.
this video, soldiers that are about to be sent to the war in Ukraine were surprised that the Russian
Tampon
army
video.
provided them with only a uniform, while the rest of the military equipment they should take care of themselves.
Remember that one?
Мальчишки, вам форму, все, что армия, вам броню, вот это все, что касаемо военных. Этого ничего. Нет, наших мужиков мы сами все укомплектовали. По медицине тоже. Мужики только не ржать. Жен, девушек, матерей просите прокладки. Самые дешевые прокладки плюс самые дешевые тампоны. Тампоны знаете для чего?
Man.
Пулевое ранение, прям туда вводите и все, начинает разбухать и придавливать стенки. Это то-то, то-то, этого, это, медицина. Мужики, сами о себе позаботьтесь, пожалуйста.
Had this video appeared in a normal
How many of
society,
them
the
do you
very
think
least
have
reaction
tried
would
to
be
push a
resentment about
tampon
such
into a
barbaric
wound
attitude towards
without
soldiers.
unwrapping it
Meanwhile,
first?
In Russia, the main thing they see in the video is a smart solution.
Because
in
I would say it's
a
non-zero.
situation. While in a normal society, such a video would certainly raise big questions about your leadership, for the Russians, the video only reaffirms the supremacy of the Russian mindset. I mean, how would you otherwise explain the fact that no other army in the world has come up with such an elegant solution of using tampons for wounds treatment?
I actually see what he's talking
The
about.
connection is obvious. It is military smikalka. And Russian history is full of such
I
examples
see.
of military smikalka, which in essence are simply freaking dumb and tragic, because the outcomes of their seemingly smart solutions are at best useless, but most of the time are simply harmful to their own interests. But today I want to tell you the story of a rare smikalka example which was actually hilarious and quite amusing. It is the story of the Ha-29 missile and its 1979 trials.
I think once you're in, it's kind of hard to desert.
In the mid-70s, Soviet ground attack aviation was...
Unless you have lots of money, so you can
the
pay.
actual ground attack component was seriously complicated due to the lack of a capable precision-guided weapon. The thing is that the recently adopted Soviet air-to-ground missiles like Ha-23 and Ha-66 appear to be relatively weak for the efficient destruction of an enemy's frontline targets, such as command posts, bunkers, bridges, depots, etc.
Mhm.
This part of the problem, however, was relatively easy to fix and could be solved by simply increasing the explosives weight in the missile's warhead.
Okay.
The hard part was guiding the missile to the target. The thing is that until then, the precision-guided air-to-ground missiles were primarily radio-controlled. To put it simply, the pilot would first have to find and visually identify the target, launch the missile, and then, while visually tracking the flight of the missile, would manually guide it towards the target using a radio control system in the cockpit. The drawback of such an approach, other than its poor accuracy, was that the pilot had to simultaneously guide the missile and control his aircraft while
Oh,
flying
this is
towards the
interesting. I
target.
never thought about
That,
this.
in turn, meant exposing the plane to anti-aircraft defenses, whose capabilities had
I
developed
never thought about how
significantly.
they
Thus,
controlled it.
there was a huge risk of the pilot being shot down while guiding the missile to the target. One of the possible
Ej, jak
solutions
Cringe
to
How's
this
Life?
problem would be the so-called fire and forget missiles. After their launch, such missiles did not require further external intervention, so the pilot could turn away his aircraft back to safety and would not need to enter the danger zone.
Why do he glitch for me?
Radio guidance could not do it.
It's the video is basically on why Russians were hitting those toilets in Ukraine.
Guidance system, to be precise. The problem, though, was that back then this TV system didn't exist.
Why were they hitting the toilets? And apparently one of the reasons why they were hitting the toilets is because they cheated
and even tried in action TV-guided bombs and missiles.
On the tests of the missiles. Pro gamers before gamers existed. Country is unified? Congratulations! Wait, that's actually great. Congratulations, nice. Are you seeing opening for like good changes?
After the launch, the missile will guide itself towards
Is there something
thus leaving the pilot free to
new, fresh happening?
Needed avoid or evade possible threats. Also, since the missile is guided to the contrast image saved in the missile's memory, the missile is resistant to various electronic jams. However, TV guidance primary advantage is at the same time the very reason for its main flaw. Its accuracy is highly dependent on the visibility of the target, meaning such missile can't be used at nighttime or in harsh weather conditions or when anything else makes the target less visible. Even simple smoke from explosions on the battlefield or just the camouflage of the target can seriously confuse the missile seeker, causing it to lose the target lock or even accidentally lock onto another high-contrast object in the vicinity of the intended target instead. Such a drawback is typical to pretty much any existing TV-guided weapon, and the Soviet Ha-29 air-to-surface missile wasn't in any way an exception either.
Okay.
The Soviets' intense work in the 70s on developing improved air-to-ground weaponry resulted in the appearance of the new Ha-29 missile. In comparison to the previous Ha-23 missile, the Ha-29's warhead was 3 times heavier and was capable of causing serious destruction. For instance, when attacking concrete runways, the missile left a crater in the ground with a diameter of 15 meters and about 6 meters deep. A huge advantage of the new missile was its modular design. A simple change of the warhead could switch the missile to either television or laser guidance. However, laser guidance still required highlighting of the target, whether by the pilot himself or by someone on the ground in close proximity to the target. In contrast, the TV version of the missile was capable of utilizing the needed fire and forget principle. Kind of. As Vladimir Kandaurov recalled when working on the MiG-27K, which was supposed to become the most advanced ground attack aircraft in the Soviet Air Force, he was also involved in trials of the new armament, in particular the trials of the Ha-29 air-to-surface missile. As he recalled, the new missile was great. It was big, it was powerful, and could accurately hit even the smallest target. Like you could aim not at the building, but at a particular window.
Soviet-style unity through science seems to be a good way to go. Only in that case. Nice, good luck. Yeah, I hope it's going to create something good. It was a huge breakthrough.
All in all, this is exactly the reason test pilots...
I haven't really thought about this, to be honest. Now you got me thinking about like how successes of a country are uniting the people like that. We haven't really had any successes here, so I haven't experienced something like that on a scientific base, but like, that's beautiful. That is fucking beautiful.
To take part, as he said, in the big show, which was supposed to be the
demonstration
big show.
Of
new types of aircraft armament to the Soviet high command. Kandaurov honestly replied that the Ha-29 was still in a raw condition, and its level of readiness was such that just a simple smoke left on the firing range from the preceding performer could completely blind the missile seeker and thus ruin the show. This is why you go there and figure something out on the spot, replied his commander, demonstrating
winning the World Cup.
Level of mastery of the drop.
Wish we could win it. Okay, but we were actually, we were very united when football happens, and also when we went to Eurovision. That was really strong. I think our Eurovision song this year was really how would I say this? I think it played a part in how much we talked about the war happening, and played a part in many people's perceptions. So when I think about it, that's kind of
Kandaurov honestly replied
Yeah.
that there was gonna be a big problem. He had already made a test flight over the range and found that the Hot-29
Oh, I
Seeker
don't know if
couldn't
we
be
are.
done
I
with
know we
very
went
many
last time I
fast
checked, and then they said they're going to join.
What? This is
But that was like
utterly
a while
unacceptable.
ago.
How dare you say this to the second highest commanding officer of the Soviet Air Force? Such a defective missile shouldn't be demonstrated at all then, would have said the general
Whoa.
in any normal country except Russia. Any ideas what to do? Asked General Supran instead. Paint the hangar's gate yellow, suggested Kandaurov. I don't know what you call the number which just the tiniest fraction is bigger than 0, but this number would perfectly describe the probability of NATO painting all their military objects yellow in case of the Soviet Union. However, for the Russian military Smikalka, that was not of any importance at all. The next morning, General Supran approached Kandaurov on the airfield and told him in a conspirational tone not to worry because the previous night the matter had been
They actually
taken care
painted
of,
it yellow.
exactly as Kandaurov had asked. And even better. Kandaurov relied on the general's words, jumped in the cockpit of the MiG-27, took off and headed to the shooting range. At the scheduled time, he entered the zone and started his combat approach, anxiously looking for a yellow spot among the greenness on the firing range. As he recalled later, to his surprise, it wasn't that easy, and he had already started getting nervous since he was almost out of time when he finally noticed some bright spot ahead of him and started preparations for the missile launch. And the missile seeker, though, stubbornly refused to lock on the yellow spot. After a few unsuccessful attempts, he managed to get a weak lock and just shot the missile in that direction, hoping for the best. He swiftly turned his aircraft to the right while watching on screen the flight of his missile. The missile was quickly approaching the target, and soon he saw on the screen how the bright spot formed into the hangar's gates, which were quickly getting
Okay.
bigger and bigger in size. But then all of a sudden the missile's crossbar started to go down away from the gates and switched to a bright road in front of the hangar. Kandaurov just helplessly watched as his missile's lock went further down the road and hit the ground in front of the hangar, leaving both the hangar and the aircraft inside.
Oh, they painted
His
the
later
entire
was stunned and confused, and while
road.
back to the airfield, he was vigorously trying to figure out where the heck that bright road had appeared from right in front of the hangar. He learned the answer right after landing. General Supran, who was waiting on the airfield, told him that they had been worried about Kandaurov, and so at night they had made a yellow sand road leading to the hangar so to help him and his missile find the target. Unfortunately, to the Hot-29 missile seeker, the yellow sand appeared to be brighter and more distinct than its surroundings, thus making the missile lock
Oh,
on the
man.
sand road instead of the hangar. I don't know how General Supran came up with the idea of the yellow sand road, but I can't help but thinking that in May 1979, at the exact same time, the famous Elton John was visiting the USSR with his
Oh.
show, which in particular included the well-known song Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Goodbye, indeed. You get
Anyways,
missed
this
out.
fail didn't stop the
Shit.
development and trials of the Hot-29, and eventually the
Ah,
missile was
nice.
accepted into service in 1980. The Hot-29 was then widely used and exported to
Hey,
all the
Eurovision
countries
is
that
based,
were
just that the
operating
Swedes
Soviet
destroy it
era
every time.
and eventually became the most
We need to
common
ban
popular
Sweden from it,
Soviet and
then it would be great.
Russian-made missile in the world. The Hot-29
Croatia is not a
still
full
in
member,
service, and in particular
but
the
they have a
Russians
cooperation
often
agreement. Oh,
use
yeah,
it
yeah,
against
yeah.
Ukraine. I don't have the exact answer to why the sophisticated and expensive
Nobody cared because
missile,
Croatia
when
wasn't on the
attacking
comet.
what the
Why would you
Russians
care?
say
Who cares
targets
about
of strategic
Europeans?
importance, also hits ordinary outdoor toilets.
Croatians don't.
Maybe it's just a coincidence that happens again and again. Maybe it's just because almost 17 million households in Russia don't have a normal indoor toilet. Thus, the Russians consider all toilets as targets of strategic importance. Or maybe it's some weird technological glitch that makes the Hot-29 forget its target and go back to its roots and follow a yellow sand road. That sometimes happened to lead to an outdoor toilet.
Could be.
When I mentioned
He
earlier
did
that
say-
Russian history is full of such
He did
examples
say
of
there's like a
military
path
misconduct,
to the
I
toilet
wasn't
usually.
exaggerating by any means. Cases of military cheating similar to the Hot-29 had been happening in Russia.
I mean,
not
TV-based
only
missile
before
guidance was better than
but
radio
also
one,
in
right?
the Navy and
So I
ground
guess it
forces.
seemed
They
good
had been
because it
happening
was the
during
best thing they had at the
peacetime as well
time.
as in the hardest days of World War II. They involved
If the
ordinary Russian
ESA
people as much as
did
the
something
top
cool, would you
Soviet
feel proud
leadership,
about
such as
it?
Nikita
As a
Khrushchev.
Croatian or as a European?
If you want to know
Oh!
more, watch my video about a few other
European.
cases of the Russian military cheating
European, I think. I don't know what that means.
Nebula is a place where top education
For like,
creators
you
like
got me
Master
thinking
Real
now.
Life Lore, Not Just Bytes, and many others upload new videos every day, and where you can enjoy watching videos without any ads or sponsor messages. Since recently, along with
It's a
access to
weird
amazing
little thing
educational content from your favorite creators,
to be
you
like,
also
yes,
get
my
free
nation
access
is a
to
part of
Nebula
this
classes, where
organization.
those creators teaching you how they create,
Geographically,
how to be
we are a part of this
successful
area,
creator.
right?
This is something I wish existed when I started my own YouTube journey. However,
Hmm.
the best part of Nebula, if you ask me, is that it's a unique
But yeah, I think
place
from
where
the
you can
European
watch
perspective,
exclusive
I
content
think
made
from
possible
the
because
European
creators of
perspective,
Nebula don't need to worry about censorship that can demonetize your video for
because it's
saying
European
few
effort,
words,
right?
which
It's
you
like
may consider as potentially
when we
shocking
talk
to
about
This is
sending
exactly what
helicopters
happened to my video
to
about
Ukraine,
small
what
aircraft
Croatia
crashing
has did, right? We
Paris.
send
I don't want this
helicopters,
to
we
happen
send
again to
demining
any of my
equipment.
future videos, especially
So when we
considering
talk
that
about
have
that, I feel
big
proud as a
plans for the year
Croatian.
2020.
But when we talk about the millions of aid
more
given
often,
by
as well
European
as start
Union,
a
I feel
second
proud as a
channel. If you
European.
have ever considered supporting
But Croatia
your
still
work, then
contributed
watching my
towards
videos
this
on
aid.
Nebula
I
would be
just
one
don't
of the
connect
best
it as
ways
much to
do that.
Croatia.
So join me on Nebula. Click the link below and get a Nebula subscription with a special discount. For
It's a
fans
weird
and
thing to look
subscribers.
into. I've never
Do that
thought about
now
it
and
too
I will
much.
see you in the next video. Thank you so much for
And by the way, I have to be leaving relatively soonish. Relatively soonish. Let me walk you through my course. Look at what I was learning yesterday, and then today I'm continuing with day 2. Day 2 is what can we do with memes. I'm actually wondering about these videos because Neifo is, I think, the best example of a meme that kinda outgrew what we expected it to be at the start. So I'm very, very interested in how many examples they can find basically of other memes that also managed to do something useful relatively. But the last day, which was like day 1 of the whole thing, it was on what memes are and why they exist and how they started existing. There was a whole part on memes and copyright. Did you fucking know that, like, the penguin, you remember this penguin? You remember this piece of shit? For a while, you would be charged for using it, because Getty Images owns the penguin. It was a copyright violation if you used the fucking penguin. This is like, what, 2010 meme? I don't even know when this shit was popular. I remember it being the start of memery, right? And yeah, mines? Not anymore. We were demining my area until very recently. My area finished with demining just a few years ago, approximately. I think we're now doing a lot better than what we were. Bosna is really, really bad when it comes to how many mines they still have around, for example. But we did make a lot of strong equipment for demining. We did send some of it to Ukraine. We are talking about sending more, and we also are talking about further cooperation when it comes to demining, because we have a lot of experience with it. So I'm very, very happy about that. I'm very, very, very happy about that. Yeah, genuinely. We do have a lot of experts. We do have a strong industry relating to this. I'm very happy that we can be useful in some sort of a unique way. Thank you, Misa. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Do you feel proud of European Union regulating Twitter by the SA? And Musk obliging? Oh, he's going to oblige. Contrary to previous statements. I do, actually. I've seen lots of people bitching about it being control of freedom of speech, to which I think good. I think the pandemics and the Russian invasion on Ukraine have shown to us how important it is to properly regulate social platforms and media space. I think they have shown to us how important it is to look into what type of content is being shared around and control the spread of harmful content. I think it's very, very important. I think if you don't do this, you get, moms giving bleach to their kids in an effort to try and stop some diseases. What you get is people believing that more people died from COVID vaccination than from COVID itself. And then as evidence of it, they use some random ass fucking list of deaths that I don't know if you've seen the list. Who the fuck made the list? I used to be getting people debunking it on my Twitter every single day. Like the dude who makes the list, he literally goes through the news articles daily, and if there's a news article about a person dying, like natural death, suddenly he puts it on the list. In some of these cases, the families of the person who died have come out to be like, bro, this person wasn't even fucking vaccinated. Why are they on a list of people who died because of COVID vaccination? They were not even fucking vaccinated. And their names are still on the list. Their names are still on that. For some of these, we don't even know. Because no one came out with an official statement. You don't know if the person was vaccinated or not. Still, the person is on the fucking list. They just put their names on the fucking list. I've heard people quoting the list today. I was bitching about it in Discord. I was at a job today and we got a visitor. And he was talking his anti-vax bullshit. And then my coworkers joined in on the anti-vax bullshit for like 45 minutes. There were 4 people there talking about anti-vax bullshit. All of it just cheap, rotten points. I think it's really important to control the internet, so this type of a lie is properly just gotten rid of. I think community notes by Twitter are great. Community notes by Twitter are fucking great, and I fully support community notes. I think something like a community note must be a thing on every single social platform. It must be a thing everywhere. It must be properly controlled too, of course, because we have seen community notes on Twitter miss a little bit because they are user contributed, right? So I do think they should be done better, but I think they are very, very important and they should be on every fucking website. I feel proud as a European. Let's say you saw one of the lead roles fulfilled by a Croatian. Let's say another big role to be fulfilled by a German, Italian or something. It made you feel like you're represented not only by your nationality, but that you're working with other Europeans. Yeah, and there's also like the idea of European values and everything. So that too. Who knows who died of COVID and who did not? You do know which people have died after getting COVID? There is, of course, some deaths where it was fairly obvious that they died from COVID, especially in certain situations where we had like a huge surge of new people being getting sick with COVID, and then a lot of people dying because it would happen in waves. So I think you can say with certainty that you can absolutely for sure pinpoint that some of these people did definitely die from COVID. When it comes to deaths from vaccines, that is ridiculous. I've had people say today, listen, I'm quoting this to you, okay? They claim that a young person close to us got leukemia because he got the COVID vaccination. Leukemia. And I was like, who told them this? And they say he went to a doctor after getting the vax because he felt sick, and the doctor said he has leukemia, and the doctor said that they looked at his blood, and in his blood they found the thing that causes leukemia, and then they have learned that this thing got into his blood from the vaccination. And I'm just looking at this. We're talking about 4 grown-ass people, my dude. 4 grown-ass people, all of which I know for a fact have not only access to the internet, but also use the internet on a daily fucking basis. Dude got leukemia, and then they tested his blood and they found the thing that makes leukemia. And then somehow, by the way, they proved that this got into his blood by a vaccine. So overall, yeah, I'm very good. I support controlling freedom of speech. My dude, I support controlling all of it. I think if you have an account online and you say something like that, you should immediately be suspended, and there should be a warning. When other people come to your post, there should be like a community note, but it should be in red, and it should be like, this person lied about this. And then it should give you all the scientific facts over, starting with, what the fuck is leukemia, you stupid bitch. That's what should be happening in this situation. I'm against freedom of speech. I think the last few years just make me hate the idea of absolute freedom of speech. Some speech should be fucking censored. Like, you're genuinely getting people not to vaccinate because they're terrified of getting fucking leukemia because the vaccine may put a thing that makes leukemia into his bloodstream. That is how you get the situation. I know we all mocked that woman on Facebook who like gave bleach to her kid, and then the kid started shitting out parts of his intestine, and she took pictures of it, and she thought it was a parasite that made the kid sick. I know we were all mocking that woman, but it truly feels that if we allow people to spread these lies around, that is where we are going. Like, that is where we're gonna end up in like 10 years. And I know the side effects channel on Facebook. The side effects, like, I understand the side effects, but there's like side effects to everything. And understanding the side effects and the probability of these side effects happening is of course very, very important, right? Like, I don't know, I recently took a headache pill. And it was the first time I was like, oh damn, maybe I should actually look into what the side effects of this headache pill are. And bro, there's like a list of side effects. You have a list of like, oh, 1 in 10 people will experience this. 1 in 100 people will experience this. 1 in 1,000 people will experience this. And there's like a whole list of things that could go wrong with your body after you take the pill, right? It's important to know about these things. But like creating some sort of a conspiracy theory about this, it's so fucking stupid. I'm just angry. I don't know who Oswald Mosley is, but it's making me be angry at him. But also, I have to leave for a second. So be right back. Hey yo, Froggy gave us a song to listen to while I have to run really, really quickly. Oh, nice. It's fucking Imperial. Be right back. Lamau, no translations for you losers. Yeah, no, the OBS settings are fucked. Technically my browser is fucked, but everything is fucked. Hey yo. But also listen, I had to tell you a story. It's connected to the whole thing. Naked Pilot. But it's on what's the word? Keep on thinking about the word. It's on the oh, there were no sudden deaths before the COVID vaccine. Because I actually talked to a dude today. Watching Westerners doing bullshit instead of sending them ammunition. Send more ammo, send more ammo, send more ammo. Go donate to Anastasia's new fundraiser, by the way. Okay? I donated for the snipers. I'm feeling quite happy. I'm waiting to pass. I basically have this thing of like I am allowing myself to donate every few days, so I don't ever run into minus money. So I'm waiting for a while to be allowed to donate again, because I really want to join Anastasia's fundraiser. I fucking love Anastasia. But yeah, go donate. That should be a priority. But yeah, I talked to a woman today, and she the conversation was connected to the COVID vaccine, because when I was bitching about the COVID vaccine on Discord, I was also bitching about these people IRL, right? So I'm bitching to this woman about how I'm having conversations with anti-vaxxers, and I'm feeling very, very annoyed by it. And she goes, you know what's the funniest story? And I'm like, let me know. And she's like, my grandmother doesn't think dyslexia is real. She hates dyslexia. Her granddaughter recently got basically they found out that she has dyslexia. She went to the doctors, had a test and everything, and they basically are doing like little what's the word? She has extra support at school. She can solve the test for a longer time and stuff like that. And she's like, you know what's the funniest thing though? The grandmother in question, she never learned how to read, because when she tries to read, she says the letters just run around and she can't read. And she connected this to some biblical bullshit story, the one with the tower. What's the name of the tower? She connected it to that, because that is how the teachers used to explain it here in the village. That is basically the God is punishing you for the crimes of your forefathers learning so many languages and so many writing systems. And she did grow up in Yugoslavia, so it was like Cyrillics and Latinx, right? So it was like several writing systems. Yeah, Babel. Thank you, Tower of Babel. I wanted to say Babylon, and I was like, no, it wasn't that one. But yeah, you know how like they build the tower together and they speak all the languages, but then they reach too close to the sky, and then God is like, no, and he mishes them up. Basically, the theory at the time was that we are mixing up so many languages and so many writing systems that some of the children are just born unable to read all of it, and this is how it should be. You shouldn't be able to use all of these languages. So she just believed that is how she was born, and now when someone tries to talk to her about, you know, dyslexia, about the possibility of her having it, she is pissed off. She gets genuinely pissed off. It also reminds me of another conversation I've had with a friend on this for heart attacks. It's such a stupid little thing, but like when we discovered heart attacks are a thing, the rate of heart attacks got really, really high. Because suddenly, when a person died, we were like, oh, I know they had a heart attack. No longer were we like, oh, this person just died here on the spot. We knew what actually happened, right? And it's such a stupid thing to like point out to people. It's the same with autism, for example. Especially like when it comes to locals, one of my favorite things to do is just to point out to them, because like we all know each other, right? You just point out specific people in the village. You just point them out. You're like, bro, like this dude, for example, there's this dude that went to school with my relatives. They were always like, oh, he was a bit slower and he found it a bit harder to learn and he found it a bit harder to exist in social situations. But like nothing is wrong with him. He's like a normal fucking dude. He just finds it a bit harder to do stuff. He did get diagnosed recently, right? But it was recent. For the most of his life. It's incredibly sad. For most of his life, he was just kind of shunned aside because people were like, oh, he was just born stupid. No, he wasn't. Man just needed some support. Man just needed some time. He's having a perfectly normal life right now. He just needed to know how to deal with his situation, and he didn't. He didn't, and he had no chance. And now these same people will go like, oh, there was no autism when I was a kid. Yes, there was. You just didn't know what autism was. You mocked these people. You shunned these people. You had no idea what was happening. Like, more than half of the world's COVID vaccine-related deaths being in Germany. What, really? Whoa. Because Germany tracks them better? Is that what it's gonna be? Is it like with most... what's the word? Most breast cancer cases happening in, was it Belgium? I actually looked into this like 3 to 4 years ago. I was like, why this one country has so much more breast cancer? What are they doing wrong? It's not about what they are doing wrong. They test for it very early, so they figure out it's happening much earlier, and they're able to treat it much earlier. That's what it is. The statistics are skewed, but the statistics are skewed because they figure out that it exists much earlier than most other countries will figure it out. Oh shit, yeah, left-handedness too. Yeah, I have a cousin who's left-handed. My grandmother, my own fucking grandmother, actually has encouraged that we make him eat with his right hand. She was like, oh, make him, like when he's eating, make him put his left hand behind his back and like, you know, sit straight on the chair so he can't use it, so he has to eat with his right. And we were like, why? And she was like, because like the idea was brought up out of nothing. It's not like anyone was like, oh, we have a problem with him being left-handed, you know? No one said anything about it. She just noticed, because he was drawing on the table when he was a kid, he was doing like his little drawing things, and she noticed he's drawing with his left hand, and she was like, oh yeah, just make him like eat with his right hand, and then like he figures out how to use the right hand and he will continue using it. And we were like, why? And she was like, oh, that's just how you're supposed to do it. Like, why? This is such a useless thing to say. Why the fuck? Like when people would say there's more people with COVID in this country than the other, it's like, no, the country just happens to test more than the other one. Yeah, that too. Like 0 cases in some countries, and you're like, is it 0 cases? Are you sure it's 0 cases? Ah, ambidextrous? I was able to use both hands, but my dumbass school teachers banned me from writing with my left hand. Holy shit, what? What the hell? Just like, oh, no, not anymore. Not anymore. Why the fuck would you, like, if you knew how to use your right hand too, especially then, why the fuck would they ban it? Holy shit. Florida stopped testing together numbers. Fucking Florida. Ukraine just cured all people from COVID after invasion started immediately. Man, it's such a sad thing though, like the priorities have completely switched. It does make me rather anxious to think what's going to happen, you know, after the war is won and you have to look at the consequences of all of this. Nah, it's just, because where do we have more cancer cases? Some countries currently, right now as we speak, having chaos with cancer, holy shit, COVID cases. I don't know which one it is. Putin cured them from COVID if you listen to Tate and Tucker. Dumbass Catholic country. Understandable. I can see nothing that would help, but I understand your position fully. Catholics are fucking weird when it comes to this. Just so goddamn absolutely weird. The fact he didn't cure Tate and Tucker brain cancer. Tucker, by the way, did you see Tucker wants to have a conversation with Putin? I've seen people claiming that bitch wants to do a conversation with Putin, exclusive interview with Putin on Twitter. Hey, talking about that, by the way, I still have a couple of news that I needed to show you before I leave. And then I have to show you the memes. But listen. Where's my thing so you can see the thing properly? Is it raining? It's not raining. Fuck. That makes me sad. I bookmarked this one. I have to show you Kosovo. This is Kosovo. Look, listen. Drama in Balkans. Drama. This is Kurti. Kurti is Kosovo's prime minister, okay? Currently, what we are dealing with in Balkans and what you need to care about, because Balkans are the most important part of the world, okay? Nothing else matters as much as Balkans matter. Kurti is a good prime minister, which is a problem because Kurti is the prime minister of Kosovo, which is a country that wants to be independent from Serbia, but Serbia isn't allowing it to. The mentioned Serbia doesn't allow it to, has the prime minister called Ana Brnabić, who is useless and worthless, and there's no point to her existence. Ana Brnabić was placed in her position because she was basically a person meant to make European Union happy while still keeping Vučić in power. Ana Brnabić is the woman who until very recently was calling Vučić her boss, until someone from the outside told her that, hey Ana, it kind of sounds bad. Like, you're the prime minister, you're not supposed to call the president your boss. That is not really how the balance of power works. Why are you calling him your boss? So then she started switching and now she's just calling him the president. But yeah, Ana, in comparison to Kurti, are ridiculous. Then, of course, if you compare the president of Kosovo to the president of Serbia, it's even more ridiculous. We can't even go into this. But yeah, the problem right now is that there have been several situations in which these two delegations were at the same events, and in the events mentioned, the presidents and prime ministers have shown that there's a big difference in intelligence levels. Let's say it like that. What's the photo? What is the... Prigozhin, I've seen this one. I don't like the war though. I like Russians getting blown the fuck up so they have to leave. It's the most anti-war position to take. Blow the fuck out of invaders so no invasions happen in the future. But yeah, overall, Brnabić had her little speech recently, which was... usual Serb speech. There's, I think, a clip of it is shown at the end of this video. Yeah, it's that one. Basically, think of what they allow Miss Universe contestants to say. That is very much what Brnabić usually does with her speeches. Nothing of value, nothing of use. It's just being like, oh yeah, we want peace and prosperity in the region, and we want everyone to work together. Miss Universe shit.
Of Serbian municipalities. Everything else, we live for peace and stability. It is in our vested interest to keep and preserve peace and stability in the region.
Like, means nothing, especially when coming from, you know,
Alvin Kuri,
Serbs.
10 seconds reply.
Supporting Kosovo for European Union is 94%, in Serbia is like 35%. We have put sanctions against Russian Federation. Serbia is not thinking about it. They didn't distance themselves from neither from Milosevic nor from Putin. So it's not easy for us. I want to normalize relations, and I would immediately do that, for example, if my neighbor would have been Czech Republic. But normalization of relations with Serbia are much more difficult. It can happen because we need to implement this basic treaty that President of Serbia and myself agreed in Brussels. But normalization in psychology means absence of confusion between reality and fantasy. And that's another register where I cannot contribute, unfortunately.
Man immediately turned a huge portion of Serbs against Serbia itself. Immediately. Had a little speech. He's not even dissing them too much. There's a lot of harsher things he could be saying about Serbia. But with this little speech, that's it. He finished the entire fucking thing. And also then we had the Albanian PM who...
Attack who in this panel to get the membership faster with Ukraine. And Bulgaria can easily attack North Macedonia, by no doubt. Croatia can easily attack Serbia. Serbia can easily attack Kosovo. Bosnia can attack itself, no problem.
Oh, Croatia.
I'm sure if we ask the Greeks to do us the favor, they'll attack us with pleasure. Montenegro can play dead in the beach. And so we can be all ready to join the train with Ukraine. So this is what I would...
Personally, very edgy joke. Very... Good feel. Very edgy joke. I do like the part of Montenegro though. I do like how it points out to it actually being a joke. But at the same time... Cute little man. But yeah, we had the Bled Forum. The Bled Forum was supposed to allow our delegations to speak more openly about what they expect out of European Union, what they expect out of the other countries in the region. I thought it went rather well, but I always think it goes rather well whenever Kosovo shows to be much smarter than Serbia. Part of me believes that like Serbia is going to get bullied into picking a proper government because of this. Because truly right now you see Kurti close to Brnabic, there's no any sort of like a proper comparison you can make between the two. Brnabic is fucking useless, she's just wasting oxygen on any platform she appears on. She doesn't have a single opinion of her own. Everything she says is just what Vucic would say in a situation. I don't believe that woman ever was allowed to say anything freely. So seeing her, contrasted with someone who is actually a prime minister of a country, it's a very interesting experience. And I also think it's having an effect on Serbians watching it too. Always welcome to bring money to Slovenia. Slovenia already has lots of money. Slovenia already has. I'm having beef with Slovenia, by the way. I got blocked by a Slovenian account. I can't remember their fucking name. I got blocked by a Slovenian account because there was... have you been following the Krk situation? Krk? Yeah, Krk. Hvar or Krk? Let me see, where do we have the protest? Oh, Krk. Basically, we're having protests because Krk has a LNG terminal on it, and we're supposed to make it better. And now, there's activists. It's not Greenpeace. It's not Greenpeace. No. It's an anarchist fucking organization. I don't know who the fuck they are. Oh, Extinction Rebellion. These dudes. They have a... What's the word? There's a part of them in Slovenia. And the Slovenian account on Twitter made a post praising these protests, which by the way the protests was shit. I think I mocked these on Discord too. These protests, these are the ones where the journalist went to interview the protesters and the protesters were fucking Serbs. Goddamn Serbs crossed over the border to go into Croatia to protest against an LNG terminal in Croatia because they want us to be more reliant on Russian resources. Just ridiculous. But Slovenians made a post, Slovenian anarchist organization made a post in support of these, and it got on my For You page, and I told them they should fuck off and look at the 2 square meters of Slovenian land instead, and they blocked me. Wait, like, look, it makes me happy, okay? I was like, bro, come on. Who the fuck asked for your input? And truly, who the fuck asked for their input? Just, it's as if it's not already weird enough to have goddamn Serbs coming into our lands protesting against stuff happening in Croatia. Who the fuck asked them? And then the Slovenes came in like, ha, we support brother Serbs in this. Shut the fuck up. Shh. Best 2 square meters in Balkans, true. Probably the most expensive ones too. So like that's kind of sucks. But the strongest one, definitely. I think Slovenia is doing amazing. It's cool. I spoke to a Slovenian actually recently about why you people bitch so much about how much money you have. And he pointed out a very interesting fact that in Slovenian minds, the amount of money they have right now, the amount of influence they have right now, is low compared to what they could have had. Because there are conversations happening a few years ago about how Slovenia is supposed, when I say a few years, I mean like a decade or more, about how Slovenia is supposed to become the next Switzerland. And apparently that's when the switch to euro happened, and Slovenian economy at the time fell down. Some people blamed it on the switch to euro, some people understood it was just like the part of the larger crisis. Was it like 2008 when was the big crisis in Europe? Because Slovenian market always depended a lot on the market of other European countries, right? So when the economy in other countries was suffering, so was the Slovenian one, of course. But Slovenians see a missed chance in not being the second Switzerland of Europe, and particularly to my friend that is why he is constantly bitching about Slovenian economic situation. It's because it's good right now, but it could have been so much better if they didn't have a little crash back then. So I thought that was interesting. I thought that was a good look into Slovenian mindset, you know what I mean? Like, damn, you guys are living such a good life and you're still not happy because you could have lived even better. And then you compare it to Croats, who just kind of drink coffee all day and sit around, and we're chill with where we are. Like, we are relatively salty, but not nearly as much as Slovenians. I have never met a Croat bitching about their government as much as I hear Slovenians bitch about theirs. And you people don't even have like Milanovic in power. You got nothing. Actually, I don't know if you have anyone. I need to look into your, you reminded me. By the way, I need to show you a meme video. But you reminded me that I need to look into the European Parliament. What's the word? Candidates for next year. I wonder who's gonna be there out of Slovenians. I wonder who are your right-wingers. I wonder what they believe in. What is this, Svensk? Swedish economy is badly hit. Well, Denmark is becoming the Switzerland of Scandinavia. Every single Slovene I know screaming out in pain right now. We could have been Denmark. We could have been Denmark of the Balkans if only our politicians didn't fuck us in the ass. It's not fun to be Swedish these days. When is it fun to be Swedish? What do Swedes even do? What do Swedes even do apart from making shit songs to send to Eurovision and ruin everyone's time? What else have they contributed to the world recently? I actually know what they have contributed because there's a Swedish song I wanted to play you, but I don't know what was the title of it. Found it. It was this one. Have you ever heard this one?
Ja, det är ju väldigt lätt att tappa tron i den tillvaro som vi lever i. Men jag skulle som lite tröst vilja säga så här att över hela denna jord oh yeah, sker katastrofer, terror, mord. Men vi som går med Jesus har ändå ryggen fri. För roten till all världens ondska är inte vi. Nej, det är bögarnas fel. Bögarnas fel. I Bibeln står det skrivet. Det är bögarnas fel. Jag vet inte vilken rad och vers, kapitel eller del. Men någonstans här i står det.
Unironically better than every single thing they sent to Eurovision ever. I'm salty about Sweden today, okay? But then I found this song on Twitter, so it made me feel better about hating on them. They also look very Swedish. It's because of you. He just goes on. Before China bought them, when was that? Come on. I actually found it because someone posted like, hey, it's kind of funny how like the rest of the world looks at Sweden and sees a very progressive minded country, but like there's a song that we have which talks about how gays are to be blamed for everything, and it's fucking hype song. It's it's incredibly catchy, and I got so interested I managed to find it, but I have to leave. I have to go. I'm saving the Naked Pilot for tomorrow. I'm really interested in what the Naked Pilot is. I'm saving the fucking Naked Pilot thing for tomorrow so we can mock the Russian Air Force. It seems like the channel has really cool videos, and I was really having fun with today's one. So we have to watch this. We have to watch that, okay? Early 2010s. Oh. Man, that's a new car. Holy shit, new fancy ass car. Sorry there, new fancy ass car owner. New expensive car owner. Lots of cash money owning person. The average age of a car in Croatia is what, like 20 something? I guess. I don't know. Prigozhin aircraft down. Skade with the freshest news. Ukraine destroys own Air Force. Is he talking about that accident? Little piece of shit, of course he is. Ah. Let me see who we have. And then I'll be having to leave. Yours from 2006? Bro, what the fuck? I don't even know if you wanna know when mine is from. But it's 1999. 1999, my dude. And it's younger than the previous car we had, because the previous car we had was from 1998. So that was interesting. That was interesting. That was cool. Do we say it like that? Was DJ on my stream for a while? I think. I'm trying to figure out how many people I know, but I think I'm just gonna give you a link to Top Sense Kick, and then we're gonna go to Top Sense Kick, my dude. We're gonna go to Top Sense Kick, and we're gonna just be staying there, okay? I think it might be the safest solution. Is that rain? Nah, people are walking without umbrellas. I think we're just gonna be leaving. 90s and early 2000 cars are great. The runway better. You wanna know what my... Shut the fuck up, Topson. You wanna know what my first car was? This one. Looked like this. Looked like this. Exactly the same like this. Man was running like a fucking beast. This was a magical car, okay? This was the first car that I drove, the first car that my brother drove. We managed to fuck it up because we were really stupid at the time. And also he was, to be fair, he was really stupid. He didn't have proper counter. He didn't know to tell us when he had gas. He didn't know to tell us when he had oil. He knew to tell you sometimes, but not all the times, right? One of my first drives in this car, actually, I was working as a bartender at the time. I'm going home, it's pitch dark. It's like midnight. He stops on the road. Why does he stop? He has no fuel. He shows that he has fuel, but he doesn't. So he stopped there. I still remember that night. It was such a weird experience because a man who was passing on the street, he saw that I stopped with the car and he went to check what happened. And I was like, bro, he stopped. I don't know what happened. I've been driving for like 2 days. I don't know what's wrong with him. So he checks it and he's like, yeah, but you probably have no fuel, because it happens often with these old ass fucking cars. He figures out how to turn it on. So listen, he gets out of his expensive fucking car. I don't even know what his expensive fucking car was. It was something like, it was huge, it was like quite tall, it was something grey, I don't know, I was scared as fuck at the time. I thought this man is a serial murderer or something. Because we were like outside of the village, you know, it was, there was nothing around, there were no houses or nothing, just road. He goes into my shit-ass car, he gives me the keys to his fancy car, and he's like, do you know where the nearest gas station is? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna drive there, so you just go and follow me in my car. And that's what happened. He was driving this thing, and I was driving his car, and we reached the gas station. It was a weird little night. I don't know. Imagine the trust. You see some random ass woman on the road, you're gonna give her keys to your car, despite the fact she only had a driver's license for such a short time. You're gonna do that anyway, just to help. I don't know, it was kind of nice. Oh man, it's really hard to get it here too. We fucked it up. Basically, his oil ran out, but he didn't tell us on time. Previously, he was good with telling us when he had low levels, but this one time, something like glitched in the system, who the fuck knows what, and we didn't put oil in the system, and the engine got all fucked up, and then we sold it, and I still feel bad about it, to be honest. Like, one of my plans is, if I ever do get a nice sum of money, I want to get it back. I want to get that fucking thing back. It was such a good car. He had a thing, so like the doors were fucked. So when you would reach 90 kilometers of speed, the doors would rattle and you would know you passed 90 kilometers per hour. You had no other way of knowing during the night because his lights weren't working. That's a wrong way to say it. He didn't have the lights. Like, he wasn't supposed to be working. There was nothing here that would light up the speed meter, right? So when you were driving during the night, you basically couldn't see a damn thing, but at 90 kilometers per hour, you would hear the doors rattle and you would know you're going 90 kilometers per hour. So he was like one of those, you know, those old Game Boys? I had that grey Game Boy as a kid, and my grandfather then threw it out. But you know how, like, it didn't have a light? So when you would play games on your Game Boy, you had to... like, if you were driving, you had to make sure that you are playing important parts while there's lights from the street going into the car, so you would see what's happening. So you would, like, have to time it out, like, oh, I gotta hit the boss right now, I gotta aim. And then while I see, I gotta do it, because then there's going to be, like, a few seconds of me not being able to see what's happening, and I won't be able to do any important actions then. Yeah, superior Balkan technology. Indeed. No official Game Boy Light attachment? Shit, I'm jealous of your friend. I'm jealous of your friend. Who's your friend? Who's your friend? How do I seduce them to get it? Fucking fancy. I never had that shit. I never had that shit. I was just suffering. I was just extremely sad and suffering, and that's it. That makes me feel sad. It was such a good thing. It was such a good game. I was playing them for such a long time. I still have... The worst thing is I still have those little, like, things you would put in him to play. I just don't have the actual Game Boy. I saw it on, was it Amazon? something for sale a few years ago. The OG grey one. That is the one I had. I want that one. But also, I've given you the link to Dobson stream, and I have to go and leave. Okay, I have to go and leave. So, thank you for being here at the stream. Thank you for joining. Hope you had fun. Hope you learned something new about Balkans. Hope you learned that it's important to donate to Ukraine instead of writing edgy comments online. I hope if you take anything from the stream, I hope you take that, okay? If you ever see something happening and it makes you angry, use your anger properly. Use your anger properly. Don't use it on writing edgy ass comments around. It's helping no one. Use it properly. What else did we go through? Remember that the Russian Air Force is fucking shit like the country is. And that's it. I guess it's kind of weird that Zach like joined for a second while he was streaming and then he ran away. Would be interesting to actually have a conversation with someone smart who believes Ukraine supporters are the ones liking the war in this situation. You know, seems like an interesting claim to make, considering the fact that the situation is basically one side is making excuses for an aggression and an invasion onto foreign territory, and the other side is condemning it. And you call that the pro-war side. But fair, this is Twitch politics after all, my dear. What do I expect? I've given you the links to Dobson. Let's go see what he does. If you find any GG streamers around, do send them to me, because I always need to follow new people. And I'll be seeing you tomorrow. I do have a free day tomorrow morning, but I will be having a lot of chores to do around the house. But I am planning to go and get my Heineken. Okay, so probably doing a chill little casual drinking stream tomorrow. I will have more stuff about memes to teach you, even though I wasn't really into memes today because we were watching the meme of Russia existing. But there's going to be other ones. Okay, I have plans. Stay well, drink water, have some nice meals, go bully